Cades Cove.
Good morning, I'm Brian Feldman.
This is Brad Choate. It's tax filing season, and the IRS has made some changes that could affect you. I'll have details in just a bit.
This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. Plenty of sunshine today with a mild afternoon, the high 62.
I'm Joe Pott. We'll hear from Matt Pauley as he checks in from Jupiter with spring training reports all morning long in sports.
Coming up in CBS News at the top of the hour, the family of Nancy Guthrie says they're holding on to hope in the search for the missing 84-year-old.
The trusted voice of St. Louis. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. A new video plea from Savannah Guthrie for the public's help as the search for her 84-year-old mother enters its 11th day. Correspondent Bradley Blackburn.
In a statement to CBS News last night, the FBI said it is not aware of any continued communication between the Guthrie family and suspected kidnappers, nor has the Bureau identified a suspect or person of interest in this case at this time.
These cases are really tough.
Stephen Jensen is a former FBI assistant director.
I take them at face value that they have nothing right now. That being said, if they do have a credible lead, they're very smart to hold it close to the vest.
A second deadline and an apparent ransom note passed yesterday with no evidence of movement. Public school teachers in San Francisco will be back on picket lines for a second day. CBS's Brad Hamilton.
The district's offer included a 6% raise over 2 years, in line with the neutral fact-finding report, and an annual allowance of $24,000 for health coverage. It's an offer that Superintendent Maria Sue says must be balanced with fiscal responsibility for districts still under state oversight and dealing with structural deficits.
All 120 public schools in the San Francisco district are closed. The French president says European nations need to stand up to President Trump on trade and tech. The BBC's Emily Thomas.
President Macron has warned that European Union states must pull together in the face of what he called an openly anti-European US administration. He said American threats and intimidation were not over. Mr. Macron also advised that the continent must protect its strategic industries or risk being swept away.
The International Olympic Committee has just ruled Ukrainian athletes can wear black armbands at the Winter Games in Italy instead of a banned helmet with images of Ukrainians killed in the war with Russia. An IOC spokesman says the helmet violated guidelines against political symbols. The armbands, not as much. CBS's Seth Doan is in Cortina with a look at what's ahead in today's competitions.
The mixed team short track relay, men's cross-country skiing, women's cross-country skiing, men's ski slope style. One of the big items of the day, women's alpine skiing combined. We'll see Michaela Schifrin, the most decorated alpine skier of all time, team up with Breezy Johnson, now a gold medal winner. She, of course, took home the gold on Sunday in women's downhill. We'll see the two of them hit the slopes together this afternoon.
Dow futures are up 22. This is CBS News.
Real crimes, real justice. Follow and listen to 48 Hours on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
At 6:03, we have clear skies and 47 degrees downtown at the Arch. Today is Tuesday, February 10th. I am Brian Feldman.
And I'm Debbie Monterrey. After years of pleading with the EPA and Army Corps of Engineers to at least acknowledge radioactive contamination in parts of North County, eventually they did, but not until dozens of people either died or became ill from exposure to that contamination.
It's a day many residents thought they would never see. Homes being demolished on Cades Cove in Florissant, all due to radioactive contamination from decades ago. There's only 6 homes that are being demolished. That begs the question, how is it possible that the radioactive contamination stopped right there and didn't spread further? We've also heard some indication that Mayor Lowry is not being communicated with. It's been a very controversial subject for many years, as the residents from around here are concerned that the Army Corps of Engineers isn't always forthcoming. But as of right now, this demolition is happening in Florissant. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
One person wounded in an overnight shooting at a Metro East strip club that occurred in the parking lot of Diamond Cabaret in Sauget, Illinois. Our partners at Fox 2 say the gunfire happened during the 1 o'clock hour, resulted from an altercation inside the business. The victim's injuries not believed to be life-threatening.
St. Charles city officials are trying to fix a zoning issue that historically allowed data centers to hide under the umbrella of general warehousing. In last night's presentation to the commission, staff explained that developers have been able to use outdated industrial rules to bypass stricter oversight.
You'll also notice that there is an amended definition of warehouse. You may recall previous interpretation by staff was that data center was a warehouse. As drafted, this makes it very clear that a warehouse is not a data center.
John Boyer says this specific change to the city's Chapter 400 zoning code is the first step in creating a legal firewall against future projects. The city council will have a final say on the new definitions in April.
The no data center push that started in St. Charles officially has spread to Jefferson County. Neighbors in Festus demanding a freeze on all data development to ensure the city does not sign any binding contracts before the public can weigh in.
I'd like to propose at least a one-year moratorium. Don't make any commitments. Don't get us legally committed to a data center. Put a stop to it.
City officials insist they are nowhere near a deal, claiming they've only annexed property and set basic zoning restrictions so far.
Meanwhile, a man is accused of threatening to kill Troy, Illinois city officials and contractors over data center considerations there. Troy police announcing the arrest of Trenton resident Anthony Hinojosa on 3 felony charges, including intimidation, electronic harassment, and false reporting. Investigators say Hinojosa allegedly made the threats on Facebook on February 4th.
With hopes of creating new jobs and tax revenue across Illinois, state leaders expanding a financial program. Star bonds have been on the table in Springfield since 2010 and are credited for turning a sleepy shopping mall in Marion into a major entertainment district. Now the program is growing.
More local governments, not including Chicago, will be able to grant loans to developments that promise job creation and economic development. State Representative Jay Hoffman says the program isn't only expanding, it's improving.
Number one, it's going to be a competitive process. Number two, we're going to have 3 star bond districts available to us in this region. Number three, we're going to be able to create jobs and economic opportunity. And it's all going to be built union because there will be a project labor agreement on any Star Bonds project.
There's expected to be a June 1st deadline for municipalities to notify the state of their interest in creating so-called Star Bond districts.
With changes made by the Internal Revenue Service this tax filing season, some may consider getting away from taking a standard deduction.
The rules are a little different for 2025. Make sure you're catching those charitable contributions. You actually might be itemizing.
Tax expert Jason Dynison told MissouriNet more state and local taxes can be deducted this year than ever before. He says it's also important to make sure you have a direct deposit bank account on file with the IRS.
If you haven't been getting refunds by direct deposit, the IRS has changed that. They will not be sending paper checks for 2025 tax returns that get refunds.
Dynison says those having to pay may still submit paper checks, though. Brad Choate, KMOX News.
From the KMOX business desk, more and more people are treating themselves to a solo meal, and the restaurant industry is taking notice. Yum Brands, the parent company of Taco Bell, KFC, and Pizza Hut, found that 47% of fast food trips are solo orders. That's up from 31% in 2021. Sammy Sparber with Axios in Texas says people want to treat themselves and are willing to pay more. Yum Brands will take the findings of their research report and are reconfiguring servings for solo diners.
We will check traffic and weather together coming up in 2 minutes. KMOX News Time, 6:08.
Tomorrow, some of us will wake up and it will be our last day on this earth. It will be unexpected and without warning. Each year, 250,000 people will die from medical malpractice, the 3rd leading cause of death in America. 43,000 will die in a car or truck crash. 6,000 will die working on the job. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan, and we represent many of these families. It's awful. Unfortunately, many times some of these family members are not speaking and never get to say, I'm sorry or goodbye. If you're at odds with a loved one, listen closely. Pick up the phone. Call them. Say you're sorry. I promise a huge burden will be lifted from your heart and your soul will be renewed. Even if you're not wrong in your own mind, it doesn't matter. Death is bad enough. Death without closure and love will follow you the rest of your days. Trust me on this. Morgan & Morgan, Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay, things people love.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
6:10 in time for us to get you traffic and weather. It should be an absolutely beautiful day today. It'll feel kind of spring-like, so get out and enjoy it. More details on that on the way after we check in with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we got a few delays out there right now, Debbie. I've been talking about eastbound Highway 70. There's still slow traffic approaching Wright City into Forestville, and westbound 70. The crash we had at David Holcomb Parkway is gone, so the delays have thinned out there, but now it's just kind of slow westbound around the Wright City rest area. And on 370, the eastbound side is thinned out, but the westbound side still jammed west of the Mills to 141. So eastbound's good, westbound's still bumper to bumper there. And I mentioned earlier, they've had, 4 different call-outs, I think, for EMS to respond for a crash eastbound 64 at Jefferson. I didn't see anything there, but I do see flashing lights westbound 64. It looks like at the exit to Market Street there, just past Union Station. So it looks like the exit is blocked. So far, it's really not causing delays on the highway. It looks like, again, just the exit is shut down at that point. Next update at 6:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Join us on February 15th at Powell Hall as the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra and St. Louis City SC brings us Eternal, a tribute to Tina Turner, presented by Purina, with special guests Brittany Howard of Alabama Shakes and Kennedy Holmes. Experience the ultimate journey through Tina's immortal catalog. Tickets are limited. Get yours now at slso.org.
A nice day today with plenty of sunshine and a mild afternoon, high 62, partly cloudy tonight, but turning colder, low 29. Cooler tomorrow despite a good deal of sunshine, the high 52. Thursday mostly cloudy. There could be an afternoon shower in spots, the high 51. From the Soliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
47 degrees downtown at the Arch.
I'm Joe Pott. We'll hear from Billikens head coach Josh Schertz as his team is rising in the polls. That's coming up in sports.
It is 6:12. The University of Missouri St. Louis is beginning the search for a new leader. Dr. Kristen Sobolik announcing she'll step down as chancellor on July 1st. Sobolik has led the university since 2020, credited with launching more than a dozen new academic programs and spearheading a campus master plan that consolidated university land to focus on a core academic district. System President Mun Choi praised Sobolik for increasing graduation rates and reducing student loan debt during her tenure.
A public hearing scheduled today on legislation that would bar Missouri educators from encouraging students to pursue gender transition.
The bill is sponsored by Republican Senator Joe Nicola of Jackson County. It would require school districts to fire any, quote, licensed educator who engages in conduct or conversation affirming a student's self-identification as a member of the opposite sex. The bill would also require school staff to notify the principal within 24 hours of a student expressing they belong to the opposite sex and require the principal to notify the student's parents within 72 hours. Marshall Griffin, Missouri Net.
State Senator Mike Henderson is sponsoring a bill to toughen penalties for damaging phone and fiber lines in Missouri. The Republican from St. Francis County says it has bipartisan support.
Everybody looks at it and says this was a measured response. It was not too far over the top. We're just trying to get ahead of it before we have some major problem, such as a disruption of 911 service and we have a catastrophe. And let's try to take it on now before we get to that point, not overreact afterwards.
Under the plan, anyone caught damaging Missouri's phone or fiber lines could face anything from a misdemeanor to a felony, along with requirements to repay the costs and perform community service.
Illinois drivers should brace for higher gas prices this year.
The CEO of the Illinois Fuel and Retail Association, Nate Harris, breaks it down.
there's a fight on the federal level between the refiners and the ethanol producers as to how to implement tax credits. And here in the state, consumers are going to get pinched in the middle of that fight because the gas prices are going to go up by 25 to 30 cents throughout the state because Illinois is going to be forced to implement a boutique type of fuel.
Illinois opted out of a waiver allowing E10 in the summer, hoping the federal government would allow E15. It hasn't. At the Illinois Capitol, Dave Dahl.
It is 6:15.
Well, for the fourth consecutive week, St. Louis University men's basketball is ranked among the top 25 in the AP poll. Billikens have risen to number 18 in the latest poll. Billikens 23-1 overall and 11-0 in the Atlantic 10. They've won 17 consecutive games, which is now the second longest winning streak in the country. The only game this week for the Bills is Friday when they travel to Loyola for a 7:30 game with the Ramblers. Josh Schertz on last night's coaches show right here on KMOX talked about the good timing of the schedule.
And, so 2 full weeks basically out of town, sleeping on out of our own beds, and a huge week to come back, and you get, George Washington and Dayton in massive home games. And then you got to go on the road and turn right around and play Dayton and LaSalle. And so, guys are fatigued. I think there's a mental fatigue, a physical fatigue. But the bye week comes at a good time. I think it gives us a chance to reset. We took Sunday off after Saturday's game. Today watched film, but didn't do anything outside of that. Guys got some shots up if they wanted to, optional. And then tomorrow we'll come back to work, and we've got basically a 3-day ramp up for 1 day on us, then 2 days on Loyola, and then got to put on the court, Friday night.
You can catch that entire show weekly here on KMOX. Now, number 1, Arizona had the second longest win streak in the country. That was before the top-ranked Wildcats were beaten last night. They had been unbeaten at 23-0. Last night they fall 82-78 at number 9, Kansas. Elsewhere in college basketball, Rick Pitino won his 904th game, an 87-82 overtime win for number 17 St. John's over Richard Pitino's Xavier Musketeers. The 904 wins moves the elder Pitino to number 3 all-time in wins as he passes Roy Williams. He trails longtime Syracuse coach Jim Boeheim and Duke legend Mike Krzyzewski. They have 1,116 and 1,202 wins, respectively. SIUE junior guard Tyler King is this week's player and newcomer of the week in the Ohio Valley Conference. The former Parkway West standout averaged 20.5 points in 2 SIUE road wins at Lindenwood and at Little Rock. SIUE is 9-5 in the OVC, tied for 4th, and the Cougars have 2 games this week against Southeast Missouri and UT Martin. Those are the 2 teams the Cougars trail in the standings. Winter Olympics, Team USA women's hockey faces Canada today as the group stage continues. Both are undefeated thus far. The U.S. 3-0 after a 5-0 win over Switzerland Monday. Canada's 2-0. This will be the 11th meeting between the 2 rivals at the Olympics. Canada holds a 7-3 advantage in the all-time series. The women's team's combined skiing makes its Olympics debut today. Michaela Schifrin and Breezy Johnson will race today. For the U.S., Johnson already has 1 of 2 U.S. golds at the games, and the U.S. can win another gold as they take on Sweden in the mixed doubles curling final later this morning. Next sports update comes up at 6:45. I'm Joe Pott on your home of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
How many of you think taxes will go up in the future? And if they do, who will get hit the hardest? Maybe it's you, headed for retirement. You've been saving in that 401k or IRA, and that money has never been taxed. And Uncle Sam is looking at that account like it's a big, juicy steak. What can you do about it? Join the All Financial Group for their Taxes in Retirement Seminar, Thursday, February 19th or Tuesday, February 24th. They believe a financial plan is not a retirement plan without a tax plan. Fund your retirement, not Uncle Sam's. Reserve your spot today by calling 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824. Or go to yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions.
Hey, Cardinal Cowboy here. Who would have thought a car crash would have led to charities, TV shows, and cheering with the best fans in the world? I'm thankful for every day. And so are my friends at Renner Garage Door. They've been turning garage doors from zero to hero since 1966. With help from trusted brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster, honest family-style service you can count on. So giddy up and get your free repair or replacement quote today. Giddy up!
R-E-N-N-E-R, R-E-N-N-E-R.
Hi, this is Steve Butts with the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. I know we're all experiencing sticker shock when you get your insurance premium. Now more than ever, you need an independent insurance agent to find the best value for your family's insurance needs. Crawford Butts, family owned and operated for more than 60 years. Please give us a call at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com.
Now the news at 9, The Talk. The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is 6:20 on Total Information AM. I'm Brian Feldman alongside Debbie Monterrey. We check in with traffic update from Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
We got delays in a couple of places out there right now, Brian. Westbound 370, they're still doing road work. Westbound 370 west of the Mills to 141, so it's backed up through there. It looks like it's down to one lane. Eastbound 70 still has a backup, both sides of Wright City, so approaching it, departing it, it goes about midway up to Forestell before it opens up again. That's road work related as well. Downtown, we have a crash, westbound 64 at the Market Street exit near Union Station. It looks like just the exit is blocked. Through lanes are getting by, so it's really not bothering anybody at this time. Got a little volume on northbound 55. The right lanes at Butler Hill don't look bad, but it is starting to slow down from Bayless all the way up to River to Pear. It's pretty busy through there. And seeing some roadwork slowdowns on eastbound 64 at 50 and westbound 64 at 159. Again, that's an active work zone they started yesterday that'll run into the summer months. Next update at 6:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
The weather is going to be wonderful today. Plenty of sunshine, a high of 62 degrees. It just gets colder, though, tomorrow, but not bad. 52 with sunshine, then maybe an afternoon shower Thursday with a high of 51. It's 45 degrees now in downtown St. Louis.
The news continues at 6:22. Residents of Troy, Illinois, pushing back against a data center proposal in their community. I'll get a chance to hear directly from developers at a public information meeting tonight. Cloverleaf Infrastructure has said the proposed billion-dollar development could create 200 new jobs and generate property tax revenue for the community. Residents have expressed concern about noise, power use, and the proposal's close proximity to a church and community park.
St. Charles Planning and Zoning hit the brakes last night on a proposed permanent ban of data centers as commissioners weigh what other industries might move into those vacant spaces instead. Proponents argued that a blanket ban could leave the city vulnerable to much heavier, louder industrial developments.
Development is coming. We've seen it. I got to see it through the years, and it's still coming. Something is going to go on that piece of property. A data center is the least impactful industrial use you can get. It generates 3 to 4 times the taxes of anything else. It's no traffic. You could have a steel, Trinity could expand and look at all the trucks that are hitting the roads, right?
Commissioners voted to delay their final recommendation for 60 days.
Granite City officials say data centers could provide tax revenue needed to lower property taxes. But some neighbors not so sure AI is a stable landing spot for Steel City. Resident Jamie Gregory.
AI is heavily overinvested in and headed towards a bubble right now from all the economic projections that might pop as badly as the 2008 housing crash. Is there going to be any kind of protections built in to make sure that there's not going to be just a half-completed eyesore sitting on an industrial property?
Commissioners say the proposed Article 17 zoning meant to address those concerns by setting strict standards for how these sites are built and maintained.
The Backstoppers charity is now helping the families of 2 St. Louis City police officers hurt in January's head-on collision with a traffic pursuit suspect. Executive Director Lawrence O'Toole says officers Kelly Smith and Jeffrey Stoll have been through numerous surgeries and face a challenging recovery.
Backstoppers provides up to $150,000 direct to families of those with catastrophic injuries and offers other assistance. The money comes from donations and fundraisers, including the yearly Guns and Hoses boxing matches in November.
A Missouri jail death report is in more than a month late.
Newly released documents outline the death of 34-year-old Leo Cruz Silva, who died October 4th at the St. Genevieve County Jail while detained by ICE. Congress requires these in-custody death reports within 90 days, but this one wasn't made public until 125 days later. According to reporting from St. Louis TV station KMOV, records show Cruz Silva had been experiencing paranoia and hallucinations and had been placed on 15-minute checks before jail staff found him with a mark around his neck. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Cruz Silva was the second person to die in ICE custody in Missouri last year. Matt Pilger, Missouri Net.
A reprieve for St. Louis residents who have not filed an application for the Private Property Assistance Program following the May tornado. The city now extending the deadline to February 28th.
The initial deadline was February 14th. Private property assistance includes stabilization, repair work up to $50,000, demolitions, and debris removal. Julian Nix is the chief recovery officer.
This deadline is largely driven by FEMA-oriented deadlines that's required around the $156 million that we found out about in early January. We announced the deadline, for many of you know, in mid-January, and we are kind of pushing our timeline to make sure that we can hit the timelines required for broader state funding.
Nix says the city's goal is for everyone who is eligible to get their property fixed. The recovery office is holding a community meeting and resource fair. That happens on Monday from 5:30 to 8 p.m. at the O'Fallon Park Rec Complex. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime show created lines around the block at a Los Angeles taqueria.
Victor Villa, who owns Villa's Tacos, was the guy in the stand who accepted a shaved ice from Bad Bunny as he made his way through a recreation of popular scenes from his native Puerto Rico. Now, football fans want to taste for themselves.
I think it's an amazing thing that this current times that we're seeing that representation of a Latino-owned business.
We were watching the halftime show, saw those tacos, and we knew we need to come back and celebrate.
Villas thanked Bad Bunny on social media for giving him the opportunity to represent his people at the highest level. He says it's crazy where a taco can take you. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
Straight ahead on Total Information AM, an update on an Illinois program aimed at job creation and economic development. KMOX News Time, 627. That's sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Hey, it's Tom Ackerman. With this weather warming up a little bit, you're going to be outside looking at the exterior of your home and thinking, you know, the weather did take a toll on this home. I've got to do something to spruce it up a little bit. Well, now's the time to do something and be first in line for spring. Banner Construction, an elite preferred James Hardy specialist, a certified Pella contractor, and for over 30 years, Banner has been a full-service exterior home remodeler right here in St. Louis. Banner Construction's exterior design team will transform your home into a neighborhood showpiece. If you've been considering new windows or a fresh new exterior for your home, Banner Construction will show you all the possibilities. Call them today, 314-569-1050, and schedule a free in-home design and written estimate. Fall in love with your home again and see how Banner Construction can go to work for you. BannerConstruction.com, and have a banner day.
Attention all dog owners. If you have ever listened to the radio or TV for any length of time, you've probably heard of America's #1 dog supplement, Rough Greens. Greetings, naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, Amazon best-selling author and founder of Rough Greens here. And if your dog suffers from bad breath, itchy skin, licking paws, joint pain, or low energy, the truth is their food is probably to blame. You see, all commercial dog food is dead food. That's why I created Rough Greens. One daily scoop gives your pup the live vitamins, omega oils, probiotics, and enzymes that will bring their food back to life. Don't believe me? Let your dog try it before you buy it. I'll send you a free Jumpstart trial bag, risk-free. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com. That's ruffgreens.com. Use discount code NEWS. Don't wait. Give your dog the gift of vibrant health. Order now. It'll be at your house in a few days. Go to roughgreens.com. That's ruffgreens.com. Discount code NEWS for your free Jumpstart trial bag today. Rough Green. We make any dog food better.
Today is the Humane Society of Missouri's 5th annual Day of Giving, a day dedicated to sharing the stories of animals rescued from abuse and neglect. Visit hsmo.org/dog to watch their inspiring recoveries and discover how your donation makes a difference. It's your support that provides the care these animals need for the second chance they deserve. Donate now at hsmo.org/dog and be a hero for animals in need. That's hsmo.org/dog.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com.
It is now 6:30, and we've got clear skies, 45 degrees in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Brian Feldman.
Let's check in with Roger Brand. He's got the latest on your ride in from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we still got the crash downtown, Debbie and Brian, westbound 64 at the Market Street exit. Looks like the exit's blocked. The through lanes are open. So just be prepared if you're heading that way. Traffic just a little slow past the scene, but it's not really that much of a big deal. It's also a little slow across the Poplar right now as well. Out to the west of us, we still have that road work going on in the right lanes, westbound 370, west of the Mills to our city. It's bumper to bumper through there. Eastbound 70, finally back to normal. There's a little bit of a backup through Wright City, but it's opening up just east of there. So bumper to bumper, but not extending all the way into Forestel. So getting closer to being a better run through there. Southbound 61, we've got volume from Highway P already down to Wensville Parkway. Once you get on to 64, it's not bad. Eastbound 70, once you get out of Wright City, it's not bad. Northbound 270, seeing some volume at the merge on with the 55 traffic. Doherty Ferry to Manchester, Clayton Road up to 64. Northbound 55, the right lanes bogged down south of Butler Hill to 270. All lanes, Union Road overpass up to River to Pear are heavy. Next update at 6:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
All things considered, it is going to be beautiful for February 10th. Sunshine, a little balmy in the afternoon, but get this, 62 degrees, partly cloudy, turning a little bit colder tonight, low at 29, 52 tomorrow, 51 Thursday, 54 on Friday. So it gets a little bit cooler, but still, it looks like the coldest of the temperatures, at least for now, appear to be behind us. Right now, it is clear skies and 47 degrees downtown at the Arch.
State leaders are expanding a program that they say will help to jumpstart job creation and economic development across Illinois. Governor Pritzker was in Belleville yesterday to announce the expansion of the state's Star Bonds program, which helps local governments to help finance development.
By expanding this Star Bonds program, we're opening up more paths to sustainable growth across communities in Illinois. And this is yet another way that we are boosting small businesses with the partnership of state and local government, of community partners, and economic development organizations.
Pritzker says the legislation would not be tied to any Chicago projects.
State lawmakers introducing a new bill that aims to address Illinois' school funding gap. Carolina Garibay has more.
The new legislation would require Illinois to fully fund the evidence-based funding formula, which directs new money to the most underfunded districts in the state, as well as mandated categoricals. Senator Graciela Guzman says the bill ends a system where districts are forced to choose between complying with the law and meeting the basic needs of students.
Illinois requires schools to meet critical obligations like special education services, transportation for students with disabilities, and other mandated categoricals. These are not optional, and if we require our schools to provide them, the state has an obligation to fund them.
Tax filing season began January 26th, but that doesn't mean you need to hurry to get your returns done.
Tax expert Jason Dynison told Missouri Net, if you have more than just a W-2, it's best to wait, as some people still get the necessary tax documents mailed to them throughout the month of February.
Just be careful and make sure that you have all of your documentation in place before you prepare your tax return. You know, those W-2s and 1099s, the IRS gets them too.
Also, Dynison says this is the year you need direct deposit in order to get refund money from the IRS. They will no longer mail paper checks to households, but you can still mail paper checks to the IRS for amounts due. Brad Choate, KMOX News.
The news sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. We will check your money report coming up in 2 minutes. KMOX News Time, 6:34.
Who's been talking about St. Louis sports since 1985? Bernie Miklasz.
The most important thing you can have in football is a great quarterback. And yeah, the head coach benefits. But Bill Belichick also drafted Tom Brady, and he chose Tom Brady as his starter over Drew Bledsoe when Drew Bledsoe was still pretty good. And it all comes from a place where people just can't stand Bill Belichick.
Bernie Miklasz. Hear what he has to say on the voice of the St. Louis Cardinals. 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. You know, when you go to the Audiology Center, you'll see a doctor of audiology. And with us right now, Dr. Colleen Bosler. Dr. Bosler, what are some of the signs of hearing loss?
Well, it's a number of things. Sometimes loved ones notice a person asking others to repeat themselves, or the television is too loud. What people tend to notice first with hearing loss is the loss of clarity. They can hear people talking, but they cannot always understand what's being said. That's because the hearing loss can cause you to miss certain consonant sounds, and those consonant sounds give us the detail to the word. A hearing aid can help bring back those details and give you a sense of clarity that you're missing.
Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center with 3 locations in the greater St. Louis area. Call for an appointment, 636-441-7470. Online, theaudiologycenterstl.com.
It is 6:35. This is Total Information AM. Time for your money report, sponsored by Eamon Gantner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Iconic clothing retailer Eddie Bauer has filed for Chapter 11. The company plans to sell as many stores as it can and liquidate the rest. Eddie Bauer has 175 locations and about 2,200 workers. In recent years, Eddie Bauer has struggled with declining sales and supply chain problems made worse by tariffs and inflation. It's been through 2 previous bankruptcies in 2003 and again in 2009. Trading starts today with the Dow Jones Industrial Average at a record high. Yesterday, chip companies did the heavy lifting, sending the S&P 500 up 0.5%. This morning, S&P futures are edging higher, rising 5 points. And pressure is mounting on energy giant BP to deliver a turnaround. The company is prioritizing improving its finances over paying investors. BP has decided to halt its share buybacks to shore up its balance sheet. BP has been shaking up its business by moving away from green energy ventures. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
Time is valuable. That's why Lowe's Blueprint Takeoffs turn blueprints into quotes faster. Bring us your plans, and we'll generate itemized material lists to make quoting easier so you can get back to building. Plus, at the Lowe's Pro Desk, you get access to thousands of building materials not sold in store. And when your order's ready, we'll deliver everything to the job site. Improving is easy at Lowe's.
Breakfast burritos for the morning brainstorm. Easy Cater. Paninis for the lunch and learn. Easy Cater. Barbecue for the clients from Boston. Easy Cater. Brownie boxes and mini bundt cakes for Brenda's workiversary. Easy Cater. One simple platform to feed any size group with food they love from favorite restaurants, plus tools to help you meet dietary needs and stay on budget. Easy Cater. All the food for your workplace, all in one place. Start an order at easycater.com.
When it comes to lighting, Gray Bar goes beyond parts and products. We help contractors turn plans into smart designs, manage kitting and deliverables, and navigate local codes so you can stay on time and on budget. Smart, scalable, job site ready. That's not just lighting. That's like kicking your project into Gray Bar mode. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley. I'm in Jupiter, Florida, covering Cardinal spring training as the Redbirds get ready for a new season.
Listen for Matt's Reports Daily. Sponsored by St. Louis Composting and Happy Roof on the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
KMOX News Time 6:38. There is a snow drought in the western U.S.
A record snow drought in the western U.S. is raising concern for a spring of water shortages and wildfires. With the exception of California, most western states are experiencing the worst snow drought in decades, not because of dry conditions, but really warm temperatures that change snow to rain.
I've never seen anything like it.
That's National Snow and Ice Data Center Director Mark Serraz. He's been in Colorado for almost 40 years and says that climate change might have something to do with it.
The mountain snowpack is starting to shrink. The snowpack doesn't really develop as early in the autumn as it used to.
The snow cover is about 1/3 of normal, and snow depth in places like Oregon are far below the old record. The snow drought is raising concerns about an increased threat of wildfires this spring and summer, as well as less water for agriculture and other needs. I'm Haya Panjwani.
It is 6:39, and you're listening to Total Information AM. Coming up, we'll tell you more about the statewide ballot initiative for voters to weigh in on the Republican gerrymandered congressional map. But first, let's get you updated on your ride in on this Tuesday morning. Roger Brand has the latest from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Debbie, they're still working with the crash, the injury crash. They had multiple call-outs for it. Westbound 64 at the, the 25th Street, 26th Street. The Market Street exit is shut down downtown westbound 64 because of this injury crash. Now, westbound 64, for Illinois drivers, you've got delays through 159, both sides of 159 in the work zone. Then you're slow from the 70 split onto the Poplar, but there's barely a slowdown past Market Street. It really doesn't look bad because, like I said, it's just the exit that is closed. The through lanes are open. If you're coming in on eastbound 64, well, coming down southbound 61 from North Highway P onto 64 to the Boulevard, it's pretty busy down to 64. Then it's just slow at the Boulevard, and it looks like we have a little slowdown through Tower Grove, Vandevetter on eastbound 64 as well. Northbound 270 through Gravois, and then Big Bend all the way up to Ladue is pretty busy. South 270 south of Olive to Ladue, you're kind of slow there. If you're on northbound 55, the right lane's bogged down at Butler Hill, backed up from the Union Road overpass up to about Weber, but still a couple of slow spots through Holly Hill. Seeing a backup northbound Tesson Ferry, we have a crash on northbound Tesson Ferry just south of Wells. So you're backed up to Hegeman on northbound Tesson Ferry right now. So be prepared for that. You've still got a roadwork backup. The right lanes are closed. Westbound 370 west of the Mills out to 141. And eastbound Highway 70 still has some slow traffic. Not jam, but it's still slow coming through Wright City about midway into Forestell from earlier roadwork. Next update at 6:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
KMOX News Time 6:42. Time now for our check of the weather. We bring in meteorologist Joe Lundberg, and he's going to tell us some really good news for today.
Yeah, you're going to like this one, Brian. With sunshine, we're going to head up to 62 or better today. A cold front will come through during the course of the day, and the breeze will kick up. And that'll allow some cooler air to start filtering into the area tonight. Under partly cloudy skies will drop to 29. Not as balmy tomorrow, but still 52 is on the plus side of average. I like this trend. Mostly sunny skies. Now, it does get a little cloudier Thursday. A weak disturbance could produce a sprinkle or a brief shower in the afternoon. I don't think it's anything more than that. The high 51. It'll remain mostly cloudy Friday with a high of 54. And then we head into Saturday. The storm will be coming out of the southwest, and it could bring us some rain. Saturday's high about 49. Currently 49 at St. Peter's. It's 49 in Florissant. Clear skies, 51 degrees downtown at the Arch. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
I'm Joe Pott. We'll hear from Matt Pauley. He checks in with the spring training report coming up in sports.
It is 6:50, make that 6:42. He admits some of the ballot language on the referendum on Missouri's gerrymandered congressional map are argumentative and prejudicial. But Secretary of State Denny Hoskins wants to keep parts of it. Attorneys for the group People Not Politicians that gathered 300,000 signatures to force a statewide vote disagree. A Cole County judge gave attorneys from both sides until Friday to submit revised ballot summaries.
Meanwhile, the ACLU of Missouri filing a lawsuit this morning against the state of Missouri and the Secretary of State for violating Missourians' right to referendum on the gerrymandering issue. It says House Bill 1 not in effect until the referendum process is complete. The Missouri Attorney General says the new maps are now in effect.
Residents of Troy, Illinois will learn more about a $1 billion data center proposal at a public meeting tonight. Data center development firm Cloverleaf Infrastructure wants to locate the facility on existing farmland near I-55. Residents expressing concerns that the plans would surround an established church on 3 sides, as well as its close proximity to the community's park. Cloverleaf officials have said the center could create 200 new jobs and generate property tax revenue for the community.
Would you take a $20,000 pay cut just to give yourself a little more me time? There's something they're calling ambition burnout that has a lot of corporate types trading their big salaries for less stress. And it's picking up steam as the newest work trend to replace quiet quitting. It's even got a lot of people abandoning their careers for a better work-life balance. But for those who have done it, say think it over carefully, or you'll just replace work anxiety with worrying how you'll afford groceries.
There are several free programs available to Illinoisans who need to file their income tax returns.
The IRS, the AARP, and the Illinois Department of Revenue all offer tax service for free to people based on their age and/or their annual income. Taxpayers can go to the IDOR's office in Chicago, Des Plaines, Fairview Heights, Marion, Rockford, and Springfield to receive tax assistance. Information about free tax filing preparation is at the Illinois Department of Revenue's website, tax.illinois.gov. Roger Plummer, News Radio, 105.9 WBBM.
Well, as spring training gets underway this week, there will be plenty of storylines coming out of Jupiter, Florida. And as Matt Pauley tells us, part of those storylines revolve around a rebuilt spring training home for the Cardinals.
New beginnings for the Cardinals start today as the renovated spring training complex opens up. Technically phase 2 of a 3-phase project, the Cardinals side of the Roger Dean Stadium complex looks drastically different. A project with a $108 million price tag modernizes the facility, giving it a functional, technical, and aesthetic makeover that is badly needed. Technology that most teams in baseball have already adopted will now be used by the Cardinals to help make players the best version of themselves. How that impacts the 2026 Cardinals remains to be seen. External expectations are historically low, but it's a young club that believes they can surprise people and make some noise in the National League. While some pitchers and catchers have already arrived, especially pitchers who will be participating in the World Baseball Classic, report date is not until tomorrow, when manager Oliver Marmol is expected to address the media for the first time this spring. In Jupiter at Cardinals spring training, Matt Pauley, KMOX Sports.
The first spring training game at Roger Dean Stadium is Saturday, the 21st, when the Cardinals play host to the Nationals, in a game you'll hear right here on KMOX. Well, another NFL season has come and gone. Former NFL quarterback Ryan Leaf joined Sports Open Line with Nate Gatter last night to discuss the Seahawks' 29-13 win over the Patriots. Leaf talked about the Seattle defense, but said the real story from that game was that of Seahawks quarterback Sam Darnold.
Because of everything he has gone through, and it's something I can really relate to. It's why I think his story is so inspirational, just because, you know, having to wear that anchor of what people perceive to be a draft bust is always so debilitating. And it didn't affect him. It never affected him. He always went back to the lab, went back to Jordan Palmer in Southern California every offseason, put in the work, got better, fundamental skill set, the technique. And, you know, it didn't matter. Even when you go out and win 14 games last year, Minnesota still says, nope, not good enough. And finally, there was a team, the Seattle Seahawks, that said, yeah, Sam, you're good enough, and we're going to give the guys to support you. And Clint Kubiak came in and gave him the offense to run. And what a story. This game and last night's performance, I think, is the epitome of what an ultimate team game is about, and that was the ultimate team performance last night.
That's Ryan Leaf last night on Sports Open Line. You can hear that entire conversation with the former NFL quarterback, and you can hear the entire program online at KMOX.com. Next sports update comes up at 7:15. I'm Joe Pott on your home of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
Hey, St. Louis City SC fans, mark your calendars now. The Boys in Red return to Energizer Park to kick off Season 4 Saturday, February 21st. And you could be there for the dawn of a new golden era of St. Louis soccer. Go to stlcitysc.com/tickets and reserve your seat now for the MLS home opener versus Charlotte FC. Limited quantities remain. See you soon, St. Louis.
St. Louis has a voice.
This is KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
That voice has shared our stories from headline to history.
The St. Louis Blues are the Stanley Cup champions.
From moment to memory.
Now there is only one Berlin.
Among those voices, Wendy Weiss.
We'll have more on a troop deployment to Bosnia.
Working at KMOX is an honor and a responsibility to represent this community. It's one we take seriously. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis. Now the news at 1 the fun. It's the Dave Glover Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Today is February 10th, 2026. This is Total Information AM. I'm Brian Feldman, joined alongside by Debbie Monterrey. And we check in now with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
So, Brian, this morning's definitely busier than yesterday morning. Tuesday mornings usually are. Monday mornings aren't, but it's getting tough out there. This traffic report service of Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. We have a new crash, an overturned vehicle reported. I can't see it, but one of the commuters said it was speeding and lost control and flipped. It's North 270, south of Gravois. They have, it looks like, the two left lanes at least blocked. Traffic's jammed midway back to 55 on North 270 right now. Emergency crews are on the way. North of there, it's still slow. Big Bend all the way up to Ladue. South 270 south of Olive to Ladue is slow. Northbound 55 backs up from the Union Road overpass up to River to Pear. Out to the west, eastbound 70 back to seeing delays again. Wright City into Forestville. Some of it stop and go. After that, eastbound 70 west of K to TR Hughes is slow as well. Southbound 61 north of Highway P down onto 64 almost all the way to 364 is busy. Downtown, westbound 64, that Market Street exit still closed because of a crash. Westbound 64 jams approaching 159 in the construction zone, and then 64's heavy 3rd Street to the Poplar. Midwest winters take a real toll on your garage door. Let my friends at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis come out and perform their 26-point tune-up on your garage door and opener. It's just one price for up to 3 garage doors and openers. Schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. Next update is 6:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
A beautiful day in store today with tons of sunshine and a high of 62 degrees. We'll still have the sunshine tomorrow, but only 52 degrees and maybe a shower in 51 on Thursday. Currently, it's 45 degrees with clear skies in downtown St. Louis.
The news continues at 6:52. Illinois lawmakers announced a new bill Monday to help close the school funding gap. Illinois State Senator Graciela Guzman introduced the bill. She says the bill would require Illinois to fully fund the evidence-based funding formula, which directs new money to the most underfunded districts in the state.
Evidence-based formula was designed to correct generations of disinvestment that have harmed Black and Brown communities, rural communities, working class communities all across our state. But it only works if it's actually funded. This legislation means that students in Chicago, in the suburbs, and downstate would get what they need to learn and thrive.
Guzman says fully funding schools is how we protect public education.
The Illinois gas and oil industry dates back to the 1850s, experiencing periods of boom and bust. But a new report from the environmental advocacy group says that when it's time for the cleanup, taxpayers are likely on the hook.
Idle pump jacks in central and southern Illinois are more than just relics of bygone industry. According to a new report released in partnership with Northwestern University, the inactive oil and gas wells below could be environmental time bombs, threatening Illinois taxpayers with more than $1 billion in future cleanup costs, with more than 30,000 wells emitting toxic pollutants into the air and drinking water. Northwestern researcher Robert Weinstock tells the Capitol News that whatever amount of a problem we've got, it's the industry's responsibility to clean it up under state law. Enforcement lies with the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, but the report goes on to suggest that the IDNR has frequently been unable or unwilling to take action. The department's response involves leaning on federal dollars to increase the number of wells being capped or plugged, with orphan or abandoned wells causing issues nationwide. Brandon Eisen, News Radio 105.9 WBBM.
A new study in the journal JAMA looked at data on more than 130,000 adults over 4 decades to see if consuming coffee and tea impacts dementia risk and cognitive function. CBS News medical contributor Dr. Celine Gounder.
What they found was people who had moderate consumption of caffeinated coffee or tea, so 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day, 1 to 2 cups of tea per day, had a lower risk of dementia, but we cannot say based on this study that this is actually protective.
Well, there seems to be a coffee study once a week. So that must be our weekly coffee study.
It's good for you. It's not good for you.
Exactly.
I remember years ago I did a story that too much was bad for you. So it's going to be the just right amount.
I guess so. I guess now it's okay this week. So
for now.
For now, have that second cup of coffee.
I heard it's somebody's birthday.
Birthday excitement. It's your birthday. Happy birthday.
The birthday shout out is sponsored for you by Renner Garage Door, RENNER, forward and back, family owned and top rated, RennerDoorSTL.com. Brian Feldman's got some of our celebrity birthdays.
Celebrity birthdays: Olympic swimming gold medalist Mark Spitz is 76, Golf Hall of Famer Greg Norman 71, Basketball Hall of Fame coach John Calipari 67, and TV host political commentator George Stephanopoulos 65.
If you have a birthday or anniversary you would like announced in this segment, just email it to totalam@kmox.com, totalam@kmox.com. Happy birthday wishes going out to Christopher Kessel, and that is from Aunt Jeannie. Also, happy 6th birthday to Lila Flegel.
This is the best birthday ever.
All right, you need something to look forward to? Yeah, me too. You want to remind yourself of how gorgeous this country is? How about a trip to Arizona? We're doing a 5-day unforgettable trip coming up in September. So this will give you something to look forward to, but you got to get in on it now and get your seat. This is going to be a 5-day Arizona adventure. We'll head to Flagstaff. That'll be where we're based. Cool mountain air, wide open skies. And then we'll explore Sedona, Red Rock Country, the Grand Canyon, which I have never been to and I cannot wait. And we'll cruise the crystal blue waters of Lake Powell. This is going to be an unforgettable trip with tons of American beauty. And I'm told that September is the best time because it's cooler and the crowds are fewer. So join us today by calling 800-383-3131 or get more information right now at travelwithdebbie.net. Join us for a beautiful 5-day adventure in Arizona, the Grand Canyon, Sedona, Lake Powell. Travelwithdebbie.net.
Seems like this weather is going to continue. The cold weather is going to continue here in St. Louis and Illinois for the foreseeable future to finish out the winter. Now, if you have been unlucky or you don't want to wait till you're unlucky and you need your furnace fixed or even replaced, call me. We can get your furnace next day. Sometimes we, depending on the manufacturer, it's not us, but just depending on the manufacturer, if they have the parts available and here in St. Louis or Illinois, we can get you that day. But either way, if you're having problems with the furnace or you want to prevent problems with the furnace, call me, Bart Inman. One easy number, the easiest number in Missouri and Illinois, just one number. That number is 314-293-2600. Again, 314-293-2600, or on the internet, it's Bart Inman. That is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
Today is the Humane Society of Missouri's 5th annual Day of Giving, dedicated to sharing true stories about animals rescued from abuse and neglect. Watch inspiring stories and make a difference by donating at hsmo.org/dog. That's hsmo.org/dog.
Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. Cantor is local, and we're here doing the work every day. We're right here in St. Louis, and we're ready to fight for you. CantorInjuryLaw.com or call 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
6:58. Let's check in with Roger Brandon, the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we're working with our trouble spot right now, Brian, on northbound 270, just south of Gravois. It's an overturned vehicle crash. Only the 2 left lanes are open, so North 270 is solid. jam back onto the ramp to 55, northbound 55. Bayless up the river to Perry. You've got the usual delays. They've had a second call out for a crash. The original one was northbound Tesson Ferry just south of Wells. Now they're calling Suisun Hills, which is right back in the midst of it there. Traffic's jammed back past Hageman on northbound Tesson Ferry. Northbound 270, by the way, once you get past the crash, south of Gravois is still heavy. Manchester up to Ladue. South 270, south of Olive to Ladue is a little busy. Southbound 61, primarily Wentzville Parkway on the 64 at the Boulevard, the heavy part. Westbound 64 coming through Hanley looks a little heavy. Eastbound 70, bogged down Wright City into Forestell. There's some heavy traffic. Lake St. Louis Bryan Road, a little delay at TR Hughes. Westbound 370, road work going on west of the mills out there. City, you're backed up. Downtown westbound 64. You've got delays approaching 159 due to road work, and then west of the 70 split heavy across the Poplar. They did clear that crash at the Market Street exit. Next update at 7:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Today is Tuesday, the 10th of February. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
I'm Maria Kina. A bittersweet sight for 6 homeowners on Cades Cove in Florissant.
I'm Brian Feldman. One person detained after an early morning shooting outside Diamond Cabaret in Sauget. We'll have the latest from investigators after CBS News.
This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. A good deal of sunshine today and quite balmy this afternoon, high 62.
I'm Joe Pott. We're heading back to Florida for another Cardinals spring training report. That's coming up in sports.
In CBS News, the deadline for Nancy Guthrie's family to pay millions demanded in a ransom note has come and gone. We'll have the latest coming your way. At the tone, it's 7 o'clock.
News, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. The Guthrie family is trying to keep hopes up despite little to no sign of progress in the search for their 84-year-old mother, kidnapped almost a week and a half ago from her home in Tucson. Correspondent Jonathan Vigliotti on a second ransom demand that's come and gone.
The family putting it well, calling this a nightmare. The FBI saying so far they have not been able to identify if this note is authentic. The family has not heard from the author of the note since last week. As this search now stretches into day 10, there's no suspect, there's no person of interest, and after that second deadline passed, still no proof of life.
Lawmakers in Washington have now seen unredacted material not released to the public from the Jeffrey Epstein files. And his co-conspirator, the imprisoned Ghislaine Maxwell, opted to take the fifth again and again in video testimony to Congress. CBS's Torian Small.
Democrats making the case that she is just angling for clemency from the president, which is why we're seeing her be so mum when it comes to cooperating with this investigation.
President Trump is threatening to block the opening of a new bridge between Michigan and Canada. CBS News Detroit's Heath Kalb.
The bridge, which is jointly owned by Canada and the state of Michigan, has been under construction since 2018 and was expected to open sometime this year, with Canada paying for the nearly $6 billion project. But Monday evening, Trump said Canada has treated the U.S., quote, unfairly for decades, and the bridge was being built with no U.S. content, such as steel. Politicians both in Michigan and over the border in Ontario have spoken out against Trump's post.
The Trump administration plans to repeal the legal basis for federal greenhouse gas regulation. Correspondent Michael Wallace.
The 2009 endangerment finding during the Obama administration says 6 greenhouse gases pose a threat to public health. It's why the EPA limited power plant emissions and tightened fuel economy standards under the Clean Air Act. The Wall Street Journal reports the Trump administration plans to repeal the endangerment finding this week, allowing for the rollback of many regulations.
New numbers on the dangers of being overweight. CBS's Michael George.
People with obesity face a 70% higher risk of life-threatening infections. A study published in The Lancet found that obese people are much more likely to be hospitalized or die from an infectious disease, including the flu, COVID-19, pneumonia, and urinary tract infections. The study's authors say by addressing obesity, more than 500,000 lives worldwide could be saved.
Dow futures are down 71. NAS futures up 11. This is CBS News.
Follow and listen to CBS Mornings on the go on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt?
Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-455-5544. 800-455-5544. Again, that's 800-455-5544.
It is now 7:04, and you're listening to Total Information AM. We've got clear skies in downtown St. Louis, 45 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Brian Feldman. The sound of progress. Homes being demolished on Caves Cove in Florissant because of radioactive waste left from the Manhattan Project.
It's day one of demolition on Cades Cove. 6 homes being destroyed because of radioactive contamination that the Army Corps of Engineers recently found. Only 6 homes determined to be on top of hazardous waste. It's not clear how they possibly made that determination that it just stopped at 6 homes and didn't spread any further. There's a lot of controversy about this. There have been a lot of meetings about it, but at least 6 of these homes are coming down. As to the fate of the people who have lived in these homes, some for decades, that's still unknown. In Florissant, Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
One person wounded in an overnight shooting at a Metro East strip club. It occurred in the parking lot of Diamond Cabaret in Sauget. Our news partners at Fox 2 say gunfire erupted during the 1 o'clock hour, resulting from an altercation inside the business. The victim's injuries are not believed to be life-threatening. One person taken into custody not far from the scene, we're told.
The City of St. Louis Planning Commission working on a plan for future data centers, including zoning and application requirements. Miriam Keller's the city planning executive, and she tells Chris and Amy she's not pro or anti data center.
I think it's putting the city in a position to be very cautious and thoughtful and have enough information to kind of review every specific proposal based on its specifics.
The recommendations will be discussed at a public hearing Wednesday at 5:30. That'll be hybrid, both in person and virtually.
And we've got updates on data centers in St. Charles, Festus, and Granite City coming up after traffic and weather. Sunday was a big day for the Humane Society of Missouri. Chief Communications Officer Laura Keller says they had 3 players this year in the Puppy Bowl.
I think it's the first time we've had all 3 of our players on the same team, and that team won.
Team Fluff featured Paris Cheesecake, who got a profile story about her rescue from a hoarding situation last year, and
Boba, who scored 2 touchdowns in the first quarter and went on to be named Puppy Bowl's MVP this year. So we were thrilled. We've never had an MVP.
Today is the Humane Society's annual day of giving to raise money for their animal cruelty task force. You can hear more about that coming up at 8:10 this morning.
Puppy Bowl, that is something I can get behind for sure. From the business desk, after 6 years at the helm, Kristen Sobolik says she's leaving UMSL in a position of real strength. The university announced Sobolik will step down as chancellor effective July 1st. She oversaw significant growth in private philanthropy and secured unprecedented state funding for workforce development in areas like geospatial technology and nursing.
Sobolik will remain active in the region, continuing to serve on the boards of Greater St. Louis Inc. and the Cortex Innovation District. The university says it will release details on the search for a new chancellor shortly. It's 7:07, and we will check traffic and weather for you. Stay with us here on Total Information AM.
I met my wife in law school at the University of Florida. She was from upstate New York, and I was from Kentucky. We met at a daily mass at St. Augustine's. She was the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen in my life. After communion, I followed her out of the church and got her phone number. The rest is history. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Little did we know that one day we would have 4 children and the largest injury firm in the world. All 4 work in the business. It's a family business. Did I ever see this coming? Hell no. We just worked very hard and treated our clients like we would want to be treated, like family. It's a full-service injury firm: auto accidents, medical malpractice, workers' compensation, Social Security, and insurance disputes. We're open 24/7, 365 days a year. Visit forthepeople.com and we can get to work on your case. No recovery, no fee. Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
7:09 on February 10th. I'm Brian Feldman, joined alongside by Debbie Monterrey. This is Total Information AM, and we head now to Roger Brandon, the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Brian, they're still working with the injury crash, the overturned vehicle crash, northbound 270, about midway between Sappington and Gravois. Only the two left lanes are getting by, and traffic's a solid jam back onto the northbound 55 on-ramp if you're coming out of South County right now. Northbound 55, of course, is backed up from the Union Road overpass up to River to Pear as well. Northbound, if they're on Tesson Ferry, it looks like they cleared the crash at Suisun Hills and Wells, so things are doing better there at least. We have a crash in North County, blocking one lane on the ramp from westbound 270 to southbound 170, so it's backing up the right lanes west of New Florissant. If you're on eastbound Highway 70, there's still a little slow traffic approaching Forestel. Wentzville Parkway into 64, east of A through Lake St. Louis Bryan, kind of heavy. Southbound 61, stop-and-go pockets from P down to 64, and 64 Prospect up to 364 is pretty busy. Westbound 64, Bellevue to Hanley is slow. And on the Illinois side, we have that backup Greenmount through 159 on westbound 64 due to road work, and then slow 3rd Street headed across the Poplar after that. Next update at 7:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
KMOX AccuWeather, plenty of sunshine today with a balmy afternoon. Our high 62, partly cloudy and turning colder tonight, though 29. A good deal of sunshine tomorrow, but not as warm, the high 52. Thursday, mostly cloudy. There can be a stray afternoon shower, high 51. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Right now, we've got clear skies downtown. I see sunshine and 45 degrees.
I'm Joe Pott. We'll hear a spring training report, and we'll also hear from the Billikens head coach, Josh Schertz. That's all coming up in sports.
KMOX News Time 7:11. St. Charles Planning and Zoning hit the brakes last night on a proposed permanent ban of data centers as commissioners weigh what other industries might move into those vacant spaces instead. Proponents argued that a blanket ban could leave the city vulnerable to much heavier, louder industrial developments.
Development is coming. We've seen it. I got to see it through the years, and it's still coming. Something is going to go on that piece of property. A data center is the least impactful industrial use you can get. It generates 3 to 4 times the taxes of anything else. It's no traffic. You could have a steel, Trinity could expand and look at all the trucks that are hitting the roads, right?
Commissioners voted to delay their final recommendation for 60 days.
Some in Festus claim data centers are the key to keeping the local economy alive. Supporters at last night's council meeting, like Austin Jackson, argued that without a change, Jefferson County will struggle to attract and keep young residents.
Don't we want young families to be able to afford homes and build stable lives right here in Festus? I truly believe that this data center is a major step in making that possible.
The mayor promised at least 2 public hearings before any specific project gets a green light, though residents have already threatened a recall effort if a data center moves forward.
Neighbors packed a data center meeting in Granite City to say they're already dealing with enough industrial fallout. Noella Rena Abrams says the small number of jobs not worth the trade-off with, for instance, diesel generators for backup power.
I have issues breathing. I walk outside our house, which is 2 blocks from the steel plant. I rub my finger against the vinyl siding. It comes back black. And we want to do more of this in a city that is already suffering from massive health issues. Make it make sense to me, because it doesn't.
The Planning Commission tabled the zoning changes, promising study potential environmental and utility impacts of a large-scale center on the community.
A public hearing is scheduled today on legislation that would bar Missouri educators from talking to students about gender transition.
The bill is sponsored by Republican Senator Joe Nicola of Jackson County. It would require school districts to fire any, quote, licensed educator who engages in conduct or conversation affirming a student's self-identification as a member of the opposite sex. The bill would also require school staff to notify the principal within 24 hours of a student expressing they belong to the opposite sex, and require the principal to notify the student's parents within 72 hours. Also, any staff member who identifies as an employee that encouraged a student to transition would be shielded from retaliation. Finally, any school or district that violates the proposed law could be sued by the parents or guardian of the student, and the Attorney General could also file suit and issue restraining orders against those schools and districts. The hearing is scheduled for Tuesday at 8 a.m. at the Missouri Capitol in Jefferson City. Marshall Griffin, Missouri Net.
Well, for the 4th consecutive week, St. Louis University men's basketball is ranked among the top 25 in the Associated Press poll. The Billikens have risen to number 18 in the latest poll. The Bills are 23-1 overall, 11-0 in the Atlantic 10, and they have won 17 consecutive games, which is now the second longest winning streak in the country. The only game this week for the Billikens will be Friday when they travel to Loyola for a 7:30 game with the Ramblers. Last night on the Billikens Coaches Show right here on KMOX, Josh Schertz talked about Ramsey and told him why the Billikens' most recent win against LaSalle was anything but easy.
You know, they really set a super physical tone. I don't know. I felt like we were a little discombobulated. Their physicality, I didn't think we were quite as dialed in. I think there was some mental fatigue, some physical fatigue. We didn't seem to have the same pop as we normally do, at least early. And every time we cut it, we got it up to 10 or 12, they would just, cut it right back. And whether that was a mistake by us or a made play or multiple offensive rebounds, they really slowed the game down because we struggled to get clean rebounds. And then we struggled, their zone shut it down, slowed us down as well. So it was a combination of those things.
That's the Billikens head coach, Josh Schertz, last night here on KMOX on the Coaches Show. Number 1, Arizona had the second longest winning streak, in the country, but that's past tense. The top-ranked Wildcats were unbeaten at 23-0, and that was before last night. They fell on the road at number 9, Kansas, 82-78. Elsewhere in college basketball, Rick Pitino won his 904th career game as his number 17 St. John's wins 87-82 in overtime over Richard Pitino's Xavier Musketeers. The 904 wins moves the elder Pitino to number 3 all-time in wins. He passes Roy Williams. He trails Jim Boeheim and Mike Krzyzewski.
Now, a St. Louis Cardinals spring training report. Sponsored by St. Louis Composting. Composting, growing gardens, and making memories. And by Happy Roof. We always create happy endings on the voice of the Cardinals. KMOX.
There are storylines galore as the Cardinals begin to ramp up spring training. A number of players have already arrived and have conducted workouts on their own and with members of the coaching staff. The technical pitchers and catchers report date is tomorrow, and the renovated spring training facility is expected to fully open today. However, work will continue on both the Cardinals complex and Roger Dean Stadium throughout spring and after spring training wraps up. On the field storylines include a starting pitching battle that includes Matthew Liberatore, Michael McGreevy, Andre Palante, and Kyle Leahy, in addition addition to newcomers Dustin May, Hunter Dobbins, and Richard Fitz. Riley O'Brien seems to be in line to close a lot of games, but JoJo Romero remains on the roster despite off-season trade rumors. Is this the year where Nolan Gorman and Jordan Walker finally reach their potential? And does J.J. Weatherholt grab an opening day job and not look back? Many of those questions will start to be answered over the coming days and weeks. In Jupiter at Cardinal Spring Training, Matt Pauley, KMOX Sports.
And I'm Joe Pott. That spring training report sponsored by St. Louis Composting, growing gardens, and making memories. And by Happy Roof, we always create happy endings on the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
Create the ultimate raised bed garden with St. Louis Composting. Our premium compost and soil mixes are perfect for filling the raised beds you'll enjoy building, and even better for growing fresh, homegrown veggies. Imagine harvesting your own tomatoes, peppers, and cilantro for fresh salsa the whole family can enjoy. And with delivery right to your door, getting started has never been easier. Visit stlcompost.com to order a convenient delivery from your phone in seconds, or stop by one of our 9 locations in the St. Louis area. St. Louis Composting, growing gardens and making memories.
Straight Realty has always been an industry leader when it comes to commissions, so it should come as no surprise that the recent Realtor settlement has only empowered us to continue offering our sellers even better rates. We now list homes for only 2%. Hi, I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. Call me 314-441-4444. Why pay more than 2? You can also listen to my podcast on my website, straightrealty.com.
Commissions are not regulated and are negotiable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
2 St. Louis icons, 1 legendary tribute. Join the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra and St. Louis City SC at Powell Hall on Sunday, February 15th for Eternal, a tribute to Tina Turner. Presented by Purina, with performances by special guests including conductor Anthony Parthener, Grammy Award-winning artist Brittany Howard of Alabama Shakes, and our city's own Kennedy Homes. This is your chance to experience the ultimate journey through Tina's immortal catalog. Tickets are limited. Get yours now at slso.org.
Total Information AM. The news continues on 104.1 FM KMOX.
KMOX News Time, 7:20. I'm Brian Feldman, joined alongside by Debbie Monterrey on Total Information AM. Let's get a check on the busy roads this morning. Roger Brand and the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, there's still no change, Brian, with this crash on northbound 270 north of the Sappington overpass between there and Gravel. Only the 2 left lanes are open. Traffic's jammed back onto 55. Tesson Ferry starting to back up midway between Wells and Butler Hill up to 270. Eastbound 30 is backing up from almost West Watson up the hill to 270. Westbound Gravois traffic from Lindbergh out to 270. Lindbergh between Tesson Ferry and Gravois, pretty tough. So South County's really starting to fill in the gaps with this wreck on 270. Folks are looking at other routes in. Northbound 55 is also slow north of Lindbergh up to Rivas and Jam from the Union Road overpass to River to Paris, so that's even busier. Out west, southbound 61, Highway P down onto 64, stop and go pockets. 64 is busy all the way to 364. East of Boone's Crossing to 141. Westbound 64, Hampton out to Hanley's heavy. Eastbound 70, Forest Hill a little slow. Wentzville Parkway into 70's heavy. From K to TR Hughes, east of 94 into 270, a little busy. And that ramp, westbound 270 to south 170, we have a crash in the left lane. So only the right lane's open. Those right lanes are backed up to almost New Florissant. And westbound 64, Greenmount to 159's jammed. And then it's slow from 3rd Street to the Poplar. Next update is 7:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Weather-wise, it's going to be really nice today with tons of sunshine and a high of 62 degrees. Sunshine tomorrow, too, but a high of 52. Right now in downtown St. Louis, it's sunny and 45 degrees.
The news continues at 7:21. If you received damage from the May tornado, you have more time to apply for the Private Property Assistance Program. The city's extended the deadline to February 28th.
Private property assistance includes stabilization, repair work up to $50,000, demolitions, and debris removal. Julian Nix is the chief recovery officer.
This deadline is trying to make sure we can make as many of those individuals possible and eligible under the FEMA funding. We will continue to work with residents who missed the deadline. Our intention is to support all the residents where we can.
Coming up next Monday, February 17th, the Recovery Office will hold a community meeting and resource fair from 5:30 to 8 p.m. It'll be at the O'Fallon Park Recreation Complex.
At the meeting, residents can receive help completing their private property assistance application and connect with resources for shelter, housing, legal assistance, food, utilities, home repairs, and mental health support.
He admits some of the ballot language on the referendum on Missouri's gerrymandered congressional map are argumentative and prejudicial. But Secretary of State Denny Hoskins wants to keep parts of it. Attorneys for the group People Not Politicians that gathered 300,000 signatures to force a statewide vote disagree. A Cole County judge gave attorneys from both sides until Friday to submit revised ballot summaries.
Meanwhile, the ACLU of Missouri is filing a lawsuit this morning against the state of Missouri and the Secretary of State for violating Missourians' right to referendum on the gerrymandering issue. And they say House Bill 1 is not in effect until the referendum process is complete. The Missouri Attorney General says the new maps are now in effect.
At a news conference yesterday, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says Democrats simply want ICE and other agencies to conduct themselves like other law enforcement.
Police officers don't wear masks. County sheriffs don't wear masks. State troopers don't wear masks. Why are Republicans committed to unleashing masked ICE or CBP agents on the streets of America to visit brutality on American citizens, while at the same time targeting law-abiding immigrant families?
Today Show host Savannah Guthrie issuing another plea more than a week after the disappearance of her 84-year-old mother from her Arizona home.
We believe our mom is still out there.
In her latest video, Today Show co-host Savannah Guthrie pleaded for the public's help to find her missing mother, Nancy.
We are at an hour of desperation.
The video was posted Monday, the same day as a second deadline from an alleged ransom note received by news outlets last week. Over the weekend, the Guthrie family posted another video saying they were willing to pay.
Lawmakers attempted to interview former girlfriend and associate of sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, yesterday. CBS News correspondent Cammie McCormick tells us they did not get much from her.
Former Jeffrey Epstein confidant Ghislaine Maxwell refused to answer questions from the House Oversight Committee. She invoked her Fifth Amendment rights.
I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions.
Committee Chairman James Comer.
She's asked for clemency from the president. So I personally don't think she should be granted any type of immunity or clemency.
Her lawyer indicated she would be willing to testify if President Trump ended her prison sentence. I'm Cammie McCormick, CBS News.
Grammy winner Chappell Roan has left the Wasserman Talent Agency after its CEO was named in the Epstein files.
Casey Wasserman has acknowledged his series of sexually suggestive emails with Epstein confidant Ghislaine Maxwell in 2003. He has not been accused of any wrongdoing. Chappell Roan said in an Instagram post, no artist, agent, or employee should be expected to defend or overlook actions that conflict so deeply with their own moral values. Los Angeles leaders have called on Wasserman to resign as chairman of the 2028 LA Olympics, but the IOC's vice president says she has full trust in Wasserman. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
What's with all the Olympic medals breaking off from the ribbons? It happened to U.S. downhill skier Breezy Johnson when she was jumping around after winning gold. And U.S. figure skater Alyssa Liu staying positive after her snap, saying she doesn't need the ribbon. Some other winners telling other hopefuls, if you get a medal, just don't celebrate. The Olympic Committee says it's looking into it. What do you mean don't celebrate? You literally have for your entire life. This is
For
the
that
dream.
medal.
Do not celebrate.
Don't move it. It might break.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like there might be a design flaw there on this year's Olympic medals.
Let's get that fixed, please.
Yes, for sure. It is 7:26, and the time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Tom Ackerman here for McKelvey Homes, and specifically want to talk about the Reserve at Wildwood. It's getting a lot of attention, and I can understand why. Park-like setting in Wildwood, front porches on every home. McKelvey Homes builds these beautiful homes, walking trails throughout the site. You can walk to Main Street and Wildwood Town Center from your home at the Reserve at Wildwood. Top-rated Rockwood schools as well. McKelvey Homes and their president, Jim Brennan, they have been building quality homes in St. Louis since 1898. They are Missouri's oldest home builder, and they are the best. And these Wildwood homes are built with Pella windows and James Hardy siding that lasts, so you know they're going to be great. Limited home sites available at McKelveyhomes.com. Visit them, McKelveyhomes.com, before this rare chance to move to Wildwood is gone. The Reserve at Wildwood from McKelvey Homes. Move up to McKelvey.
Hey, Happy New Year, big boy. Hey, what's up, Izzy? Also known as the Kool-Aid Man. You got any New Year's resolutions?
I got one, Eddie. I've promised myself to spend more time on that toasty, warm, huge, heated outdoor patio of yours. It's nothing like having your coat off, drinking the coldest beer in town with hundreds of your family, friends.
Man, it is a toasted patio, and that's a great resolution. And, thanks for not mentioning things like weight loss and health kick. And those would be hard in Fast Eddie's. It'd be hard to lose any kind of weight or take away from anything when you got the 5-pound Fat Eddie burger, the hot chick on a stick, that Big L wood on a stick, and those succulent peel-and-eat shrimp.
Yeah, I am not losing any weight hanging around your place. I learned it's a lot easier just to make those resolutions simple and fun, buddy.
Man, and that's easy. You're right. That's a great resolution. So make your resolution fun. And head on over to Fast Eddie's Bon Air. You know where to go across that big, beautiful Clark Bridge and come into Alton, Illinois. So like Mr. Shannon always said, if you're 21 and in the mood, we'll see you at Fast Eddie's Bon Air.
Kool-Aid Man.
St. Louis has a voice.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
That voice has shared our stories from headline to history. From moment to memory.
Presenting the Barnyard Bullies.
Among those voices, Bill Wilkerson.
He fakes drop sets, looking, throwing upfield. It is.
Working at KMOX is an honor and a responsibility to represent this community. It's one we take seriously. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
I was ordering food from our usual place for the big meeting. My VP said, "Please, God, no."
For workplaces suffering with corporate catering deficiency, every day's a struggle.
The food was always meh and over budget. Before Easy Cater, I thought that was normal.
Easy Cater is designed to treat CCD with a huge variety of restaurants, help meet dietary needs, and stay on budget. Use daily. One platform lets you save time and thrive. Ask your web browser about Easy Cater or start an order at easycater.com.
Who's been talking about St. Louis sports since 1985? Bernie Miklasz.
The most important thing you can have in football is a great quarterback. And yeah, the head coach benefits. But Bill Belichick also drafted Tom Brady, and he chose Tom Brady as his starter over Drew Bledsoe when Drew Bledsoe was still pretty good. And it all comes from a place where people just can't stand Bill Belichick.
Bernie Miklasz. Hear what he has to say on the voice of the St. Louis Cardinals. 104.1 FM, KMOX.
At 7:30, we have sunny skies and 47 degrees downtown at the Arch. Good morning. I'm Brian Feldman.
And I'm Debbie Monterrey, along with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, there's still no change, Debbie, on northbound 270. Still just the two left lanes open past this overturned vehicle crash from earlier. Midway between the Sappington Road overpass and Gravois, traffic's jammed back onto 55, northbound 55. The right lanes are bogged down at Butler Hill, but it continues backed up in the right lanes up to the Lindbergh exit. Folks are getting off there, and it's heavy north of Lindbergh up to the Union Road overpass, and it jams from there up to River to Pears. Are very busy. Like I said, alternate routes, northbound Lindbergh from Mueller, pretty much all the way up to Gravois, westbound Gravois from Lindbergh over to 270's backed up, eastbound Gravois backed up almost from the Merrimack River to 270. Tesson Ferry's backed up from Butler Hill to 270 northbound. Northbound 141 is jammed back down through the area south of 21 back for almost midway back to Big Bill, I guess, really. And then it's backed up again coming into Fenton through the Gravois Bluffs area. So the secondaries are almost as bad as the interstate. Westbound 64, Kings Highway headed out through Bellevue's bumper to bumper. Southbound 61, midway between W and P down onto 64 is congested, slow up to the boulevard. It's slow approaching K to 94. It's slow again from Boone's Crossing all the way to 141 if you're on eastbound Highway 70. There's heavy traffic at David Hochul Parkway, Wentzville Parkway into 64 from west of Lake St. Louis into T.R. Hughes. It's a little busy through 370, east of 94 into 270. And they're still working that crash on the ramp, westbound 270 to southbound 170. The left lane on the ramp's blocked. Traffic is heavy back through West Florissant in pockets. And westbound 64 Greenmount to 159 is jammed due to road work. Next update is 740 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
As for the weather, it is going to be gorgeous today. Now, that's relatively speaking for February 10th. Plenty of sunshine, a little bit of balmy in the afternoon, but a high of 62 degrees. It will get a little bit colder tonight, partly cloudy, low of 29. Right now, though, we have sunshine and 47 degrees downtown at the Arch.
It is 7:32. A former special school district teacher and substitute for Fort Zumwalt is accused of having a sexual relationship with a minor under his care. According to police, Ryan Zull began a relationship with the 17-year-old boy last fall after he and his mom were evicted and moved in with Zull and his wife. Investigators also say Zull had convinced the teen's mom to sign over his educational guardianship. Zull also became an approved guardian for medical appointments.
A Wichita, Kansas man jailed in St. Clair County, Illinois, accused of shooting up several cars Friday. Illinois State Police say 33-year-old Drew Smading charged with armed violence, aggravated discharge of a gun, and aggravated fleeing from police. Some of the shots fired in Lensburg and others in Marissa before Marissa police were able to take Smading into custody. We're told his car crashed near Sparta. No injuries reported.
The Backstoppers now helping the families of 2 St. Louis City police officers hurt in January's head-on collision with a traffic pursuit suspect. Executive Director Lawrence O'Toole says officers Kelly Smith and Jeffrey Stoll have been through numerous surgeries and face a challenging recovery. Backstoppers provides up to $150,000 direct to families of those with catastrophic injuries, as well as offers of other assistance. And that money comes from donations and fundraisers, including the yearly Guns and Hoses boxing match in November.
Tax filing season began January 26th, but that does not mean you need to be in a hurry to get your returns done.
Tax expert Jason Dynison told Missouri Net, if you have more than just a W-2, it's best to wait, as some people still get the necessary tax documents mailed to them throughout the month of February.
Just be careful and make sure that you have all of your documentation in place before you prepare your tax return. You know, those W-2s and 1099s, the IRS gets them too.
Also, Dynison says this is the year you need direct deposit in order to get refund money from the IRS. They will no longer mail paper checks to households, but you can still mail paper checks to the IRS for amounts due. Brad Choate, KMOX News.
The news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. It's 7:34. We've got your Money Minute from Bloomberg coming up next.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hardworking partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
Let's go! You're still grooving, still connecting, still loving, still turning up, still thriving. You still got it, but your immune system, it weakens as you age. That's where vaccines come in. They help train and strengthen your immune response to fight off respiratory illnesses like flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, or COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Book in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
KMOX News Time, 7:36. I'm Brian Feldman alongside Debbie Monterrey. Your money report from Bloomberg, sponsored by BUC Bank.
This is Bloomberg Money Minute. Workers at sneaker brand Converse have been told to work from home this week, and that means one thing: brace for job cuts. A memo to employees seen by Bloomberg didn't indicate how many positions were being eliminated. Converse is a division of Nike, and it has remained heavily reliant on its Chuck Taylors. Other styles haven't really taken hold. Revenue plunged 30% in the most recent quarter. Checking on Wall Street action, traders are gearing up for lots of economic data this week, including a look at the consumer with retail sales data today. Stock futures are edging slightly higher. And another company is moving to Texas. The largest natural gas producer in the country plans to relocate its headquarters from Oklahoma City to Houston next year. Expand Energy also says CEO Nick Deloso has stepped down. The company's board is searching for a replacement. Expand Energy was formed 2 years ago when Chesapeake Energy and Southwestern Energy merged. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
What matters to you matters to us. That's why BUC Bank takes the time to understand your goals and build solutions that fit your story. From everyday banking to long-term planning, our team is here to help you navigate every stage with care and expertise. We're more than a bank. We're your neighbor, your advisor, and your advocate. UC Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868. Member FDIC.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler here. I want to tell you about 213 Complex, and you can pick that up at supplement superstores. And quite simply, 213 Complex is the most effective and powerful all-natural weight loss supplement ever developed. Here's what it's doing for me and what it'll do for you. Boost the metabolism, gets it working at full go all the time. Helps with cravings, and man, that's a big deal for me. All-day focus energy with no jitters, no crash at the end of the day. It's a great tool for achieving your goals. Get out to supplement superstores. Tell them Kevin Wheeler sent you in. They will knock 30% off your 213 Complex, and you can find your location at supplementsuperstores.com.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. After my husband died, the last thing I wanted to think about was money. Ethos made it affordable to get life insurance. Signing up was fast and 100% online. I knew that I could pay our mortgage and have food in the fridge. I could focus on my kids. No one ever tells you how much you're going to depend on that policy. I am so grateful we had coverage.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Chuck McDowell here again. Over the years, I've seen way too many timeshare exit companies pop up, take folks' money, and disappear. I just saw an ad from an exit company started by a couple of bozos that used to work for me. My advice, don't hire bozos I'll fire. Want out of your timeshare? I'll send you our free timeshare exit info kit explaining your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free kit. 800-329-3737. That's 800-329-3737.
For 100 years, KMOX has been a part of St. Louis. Now, those moments live on, preserved, remastered, and ready to be heard again. Discover KMOX from the Archives, a podcast featuring classic audio from a century of service.
Sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original.
The KMOX from the Archives podcast, available now at KMOX100.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com.
Make dinner, not reservations. Kenrick's Meat Market's complete Valentine's Day meal, including premium steak side, salad, and dessert. Cook your perfect steak at home, all for only $59.99. Mention KMOX and receive a free bottle of wine, only at Kenrick's Meat Market.
This is the Gas House Gang from KMOX.
Bernie Nicholas and the Gas House Gang, today at noon on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
KMOX News Time, 7:40. Let's go to Roger Brandon, the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, still tough sledding in South County, Brian. We still have this crash northbound 270 north of the Sappington Road overpass between there and Gravois. Only the two left lanes open. Traffic's jammed back onto 55. Northbound 55, the right lanes are bogged down back through Butler Hill, and all lanes back up at the exit going past 270 to get off at Lindbergh. And then north of Lindbergh, 55 is just backed up all the way up through Virginia. So it's really tough. Like I said, alternate routes are not that much better. Northbound to Lindbergh, Mueller up to Gravois. Gravois westbound just west of Lindbergh to 270's jammed. Eastbound Highway 30, Gravois jammed from the Merrimack River to 270. Tesson Ferry's backed up at Butler Hill. Northbound 141 north of Big Bend to Tesson Ferry, backed up through Gravois Bluffs and Hawkins up to 44. There's another heavy stretch through Carmen Road. So it's really busy on those alternates. Northbound 270, by the way, after you get past Gravois, Manchester up to Ladouce, heavy. South 270, 364 to Ladouce, slow. Eastbound 70, David Hoagland to Wentzville Parkway. There's some volume A all the way through to almost 79. Zumbel through the Blanchette Bridge. Southbound 61, north of Highway P down onto 64 to 364. Boone's Crossing to Timberlake. It's heavy at the Interbelt. Westbound 64, Hampton to Hanley. You've got delays. Westbound 64, Greenmount to 158's jammed, and then it's slow on 5570 in Exchange and 64 from the 70 split. Heavy across the Poplar Street Bridge. Next update is 7:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Join us on February 15th at Powell Hall as the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra and St. Louis City SC brings us Eternal, a tribute to Tina Turner, presented by Purina, with special guests Brittany Howard of Alabama Shakes and Kennedy Holmes. Experience the ultimate journey through Tina's immortal catalog. Tickets are limited. Get yours now at slso.org.
It is 7:42. Time for us to check in with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Joe Lundberg. We've got some skiing on one TV and ice skating on another because of the Olympics, Joe. But outside in St. Louis, Missouri today, none of that's going to be going on.
some running, some bike riding, some pickleball, anything that gets you outside and breathing fresh air and enjoying the sunshine, because we're going to have all of that and then some, with our high getting to 62. Now, it's probably the warmest day that we'll have for the next 5 or 6 days across there, though I think it could get even warmer next week, believe it or not. Tonight, partly cloudy, a little chillier down to 29. Plenty of sunshine tomorrow, but just not as warm. We get into the low 50s. Clouds up for Thursday. There is a risk for a brief afternoon shower, the high 51. Low to mid 50s with mostly cloudy skies Friday. And then it looks like we'll stay in the upper 40s Saturday, and there's a good chance for some rain, especially in the afternoon and at night. Right now, it's 47 in St. Peter's, 48 in Florissant, sunshine, and 49 already downtown at the Arch. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
We've got another spring training report from Matt Pauley coming up in sports.
KMOX News Time, 7:43. The Trump administration plans to pull $600 million in health funds from 4 states led by Democrats. More from CBS News correspondent Michael Wallace.
The Department of Health and Human Services says the grants to California, Colorado, Minnesota, and Illinois are being terminated because they do not reflect the agency's priorities. The cuts impact HIV prevention programs, gender transition support for children, efforts to manage disease outbreaks, and public health staffing. The CDC's former chief medical officer tells the New York Times the cuts leave communities less prepared for the current measles outbreaks and other health threats. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
During testimony yesterday, Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell repeatedly pleaded the Fifth in video testimony to Congress. CBS News Justice Department correspondent Scott McFarland says some lawmakers also got an opportunity to learn more about those files.
Members of Congress were given their first chance to look at any of the millions of pages of the unreleased, unredacted Epstein case files, but said viewing the files is raising more questions.
There are puzzling, inexplicable redactions.
Lawmakers have raised concerns over a number of the redactions, including redacted email addresses to Epstein that appear to show them talking about young girls. In September, FBI Director Kash Patel said there was no evidence anyone other than Epstein was implicated.
Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals.
Yesterday, Congressman Thomas Massey appeared to dispute that.
In a couple of hours, we found 6 men whose names have been redacted who are implicated in the way that the files are presented.
2 golds and counting for Team USA at the Winter Olympics. CBS's Seth Doan says there are opportunities to potentially grab 9 more as the day progresses.
The mixed team short track relay, men's cross-country skiing, women's cross-country skiing, men's ski slope style. One of the big items of the day, women's alpine skiing combined. We'll see Michaela Schifrin, the most decorated alpine skier of all time, team up with Breezy Johnson, now a gold medal winner. She, of course, took home the gold on Sunday in women's downhill. We'll see the 2 of them hit the slopes together this afternoon.
From Winter Olympics to spring training, which gets underway this week, and there are plenty of stories that will be coming out of Jupiter, Florida. Matt Pauley tells us that part of those stories, they're going to revolve around a new, rebuilt spring training site for the Cards.
New beginnings for the Cardinals start today as the renovated spring training complex opens up. Technically phase 2 of a 3-phase project, the Cardinals side of the Roger Dean Stadium complex looks drastically different. A project with a $108 million price tag modernizes the facility, giving it a functional, technical, and aesthetic makeover that is badly needed. Technology that most teams in baseball have already adopted will now be used by the Cardinals to help make players the best version of themselves. How that impacts the 2026 Cardinals remains to be seen. External expectations are historically low, but it's a young club that believes they can surprise people and make some noise in the National League. While some pitchers and catchers have already arrived, especially pitchers who will be participating in the World Baseball Classic, report date is not until tomorrow, when manager Oliver Marmol is expected to address the media for the first time this spring. In Jupiter at Cardinal Spring Training, Matt Pauley, KMOX Sports.
First spring training game at Roger Dean Stadium this year is Saturday, the 21st, when the Cardinals play host to the Nationals in a game you can hear right here on KMOX. Well, another NFL season has come and gone, and former NFL quarterback Ryan Leaf joined Sports Open Line last night with host Nate Gatter. They talked about the Seahawks' 29-13 win over the Patriots. Leaf talked about the Seattle defense, but said the real story from the game was that of Seahawks quarterback Sam Darnold.
Because of everything he has gone through, and it's something I can really relate to. It's why I think his story is so inspirational, just because, having to wear that anchor of what people perceive to be a draft bust is always so debilitating. And it didn't affect him. It never affected him. He always went back to the lab, went back to Jordan Palmer in Southern California every offseason, put in the work, got better, fundamental skill set, the technique, and it didn't matter. Even when you go out and win 14 games last year, Minnesota still says, nope, not good enough. And finally, there was a team, the Seattle Seahawks, that said, yeah, Sam, you're good enough, and we're going to give the guys to support you. And Clint Kubiak came in and gave him the offense to run. And what a story. This game and last night's performance, I think, is the epitome of what an ultimate team game is about, and that was the ultimate team performance last night.
That's Ryan Lee from Sports Open Line. Last night, you can hear the entire program online at KMOX.com. I'm Joe Pott on your home of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM KMOX.
I'm Dr. Colleen Bosler with the Audiology Center, and I'm talking with my associate, Dr. Adam Voss. What happens to a person's brain when they ignore their hearing loss?
There is such a strong connection between the ear and the brain. Ignoring your hearing loss can cause the brain to become lazy and the speech areas in the brain to shrink. This is partially why you can hear the words, but you cannot understand them. If a hearing loss goes untreated for too long, it may cause an irreversible change in the brain. It is incredibly important to have your hearing screened at 60 or older, or sooner if you're noticing difficulty. And the sooner someone treats their hearing loss, the better and quicker their brain will adapt to hearing sound again. Studies show that those who get hearing aids, even with a mild hearing loss, are much more successful hearing aid users as compared to those that wait longer.
So call us today to get your comprehensive hearing evaluation with one of our doctors. 636-441-7470, or visit us online, theaudiologycenterstl.com.
For more than 150 years, the Humane Society of Missouri's commitment to rescuing and rehabilitating neglected and abused animals has been unwavering. Today is their 5th annual Day of Giving. Sharing the stories of animals rescued and united with their forever homes spotlights the uncompromising work they do. Go to hsmo.org/dog and watch their amazing stories. Your donations matter. Give today. Visit hsmo.org/dog. That's hsmo.org/dog.
Every spring brings promises, and every spring delivers surprises. This year, the Cardinals are writing a new story, and there'll be plenty of surprises. Matt Pauley is in Jupiter with inside access to Camp Cardinals.
Presented by St. Louis Composting. Composting, growing gardens and making memories. And Happy Roof. We always create happy endings.
From breakout performances to roster revelations, get reports throughout the day on the voice of the Cardinals. KMOX. Total Information AM on 104.1 FM. KMOX.
KMOX News Time, 7:50. Brian Feldman alongside Debbie Monterrey. Let's check in with Roger Brandon, the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, unfortunately, Brian, still no change on North 270, so the South County commute's still tough. There's still just the 2 lanes getting by the crash. North 270 before Gravois. Traffic's jammed back onto 55. 55, the right lane's backed up through Butler Hill, but it continues to be backed up north of there all the way up to River to Pear on 55, just bumper to bumper northbound. Lindbergh from south of Mueller, really, all the way up to Gravois. Gravois over to 270 from there. Eastbound 30, a little bit better, but there's still stop-and-go pockets from the Merrimack over. Tesson Ferry's backed up south of Butler Hill to 270. Northbound 141, north of Big Bill, all the way up through to Romaine Creek's jammed. After that, there's not as extensive of a backup until you get up north of Big Bend through Carmen. It's still heavy, though. Jammed Clayton Road up to 64 even after that. And even after you get to pass the crash on 270 Gravois, you've still got delays from Doherty Ferry all the way up to Ladue, South 270, 364 to Ladue, southbound 61 still bogged down on Highway P up to 364 from about the Spirit Overpass all the way to Timberlake now, and east of Lindbergh through the Interbelt, westbound 64 solid jam, Kings Highway out through Bellevue, south 170. There's slow stuff coming down from 270 to the Rock Road, Midland down through Page, Olive, and then the Parkway to 64, final jam, westbound 270 slow through the North County area from Old Halls Ferry through Washington Elizabeth because of an earlier wreck. Eastbound 70 delays, west of Winsville Parkway. It sort of goes all the way into T.R. Hughes, Zumbell over to the Blanchette Bridge. Westbound 64 still a jam. Greenmount through 159 and heavy, approaching 70 to the Poplar. Next update is 7:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Sunshine today and tomorrow. Today's high 62 degrees, tomorrow 52, then maybe a stray afternoon shower on Thursday. Right now it's sunny and 46 degrees.
The news continues at 7:52. Residents of Troy, Illinois, pushing back against a data center proposal in their community. They'll get a chance to hear directly from developers at a public information meeting tonight. Cloverleaf Infrastructure has said the proposed billion-dollar development could create 200 new jobs and generate property tax revenue for the community. Residents have expressed concerns about noise, power use, and the proposal's close proximity to a church and community park.
A man accused of threatening to kill Troy, Illinois city officials and contractors over data considerations. Troy police announcing the arrest of Trenton resident Anthony Hinojosa on 3 felony charges. Investigators say Hinojosa allegedly made those threats on February 4th on Facebook.
State Senator Mike Henderson sponsoring a bill that toughen penalties for damaging phone and fiber lines in Missouri. The Republican from St. Francis County says it has bipartisan support.
Everybody looks at it and says this was a measured response. It was not too far over the top. We're just trying to get ahead of it before we have some major problem, such as a disruption of 911 service and we have a catastrophe. And let's try to take it on now before we get to that point, not overreact afterwards.
Under the plan, anyone caught damaging Missouri's phone and fiber lines could face anything from a misdemeanor to a felony, along with requirements to repay the costs and perform community service.
People are now paying recruiters to help them find a job because the job market is so tough and competitive these days. Recruiters usually work for companies to find talent, but now their talent is using recruiters to match them, hopefully, with a company.
Jason Leverant runs the staffing and recruiting agency At Work. He says hiring a recruiter may not be worth it because some can take your money up front without you really knowing how aggressively they're working to find you a job.
The reality is, and what you want to find is a recruiter who, one, doesn't charge you, because there's literally thousands of them that don't charge any fees to do it, who look at your resume, who either specialize or are in a niche in the industry that you're in, and they have connections, because so many of the jobs today, and this is where I think a lot of the job seekers are finding themselves kind of beating their heads against the wall. The jobs that are posted right now, many times are already being worked on, or many times are already filled by somebody, a friend of an internal person who works at that organization, but those ads have already gone up and they can't stop them.
Leverant says the best way to find a job is to build a network online and in person in the field where you want to work. He says if you get to know people, they'll be willing to help you.
Just a few days after he officially handed the reins of the New York Archdiocese over to his successor, St. Louis native Cardinal Timothy Dolan lands a new part-time job. As KMOX Religion Health Editor Fred Bottomer reports, Cardinal Dolan has been named co-head of the New York City Police Department's chaplains unit.
Cardinal Dolan tells the New York Times this part-time position will allow him to return to the everyday pastoral duties of being a good parish priest. The job includes offering faith-based support to officers presiding over religious services and notifying next of kin of the death of an officer. Cardinal Dolan will share the duties with the Reverend A.R. Bernard, the founder of the Christian Counseling Center. According to Cardinal Dolan, this new position is a great way for him to kind of come to the final innings of his own priestly life. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
Why would anyone want the Jeep from Mission Impossible after the way they drove it? And for $70,000? Tom Cruise put the Wrangler Rubicon through the grinder for an intense chase scene through an English mine.
And not only did it survive filming of The Final Reckoning, but it wouldn't do too badly in a crash. The auction house selling it says the specially made Jeep has a reinforced roll cage and a built-in fire suppression system. But if you bought it, you probably wouldn't check it out to make sure it worked, I would think. But maybe you would.
I don't think the person would drive it. I mean, I would take it, not for $70,000.
Yeah, I don't know what people do with all these things they collect. But I guess that's why we have storage units but pop up all over the place.
People will pay for anything.
It is 7:56.
It's a great time, if there's ever a great time, to purchase a furnace or an air conditioner. I know it's winter. We got some great pricing. You can get 0% financing. So if you have been told that you need a new furnace, definitely give me a call. I could probably save you lots of money. Get a second opinion. Call me. Next day installs for your furnace so you won't be without heat very long. A furnace average install about 2-3 hours for a furnace. So not a big issue to do it now. And like I said, great pricing. So if that's you, call me. It's Bart Inman. One easy number, Missouri and Illinois. Just the easiest number. And there's one. 314-293-2600. Again, 314-293-2600. Or on the internet, it is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's your captain speaking. To the passenger with the Mirror Fast soft chews, smart move.
No way am I letting travel constipation ruin this trip.
Can't blame you. Mirror Fast works fast, but without the harsh side effects.
Since I'm such a smart traveler, can I move to first class?
No. Close the curtain, girl.
From the makers of Miralax, new Mirafast soft chews work naturally with your body in as little as 30 minutes to give you a comfortable go on the go. Find Mirafast today at your local retailer. Use as directed for occasional constipation. Contains magnesium hydroxide.
Want to build income without a second job? Learn how real estate investing can help you create extra income one step at a time with Lifestyles Unlimited. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
I'm Dave Glover, and I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Dr. Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. You can too. Just go to youridoc.com.
Here's Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Debbie, still just the two left lanes are open on northbound 270 south of Gravois. It's still jammed back to 55. Northbound 55 backs up through Butler Hill. In fact, all lanes are a solid jam really from the 270 area all the way up to River to Paris, slow to Holly Hills, so there's not much change. Westbound 255 now jams from the Lindbergh exit all the way onto North 270 as well, so it's backed up onto 255. Alternate routes, you're still looking at a jam between Wells and Butler Hill on Tesson Ferry up to 270. Northbound Lindbergh, Mueller up to Gravois, stop-and-go pockets. Northbound 141 north of Big Bill all the way up through to Romaine Creek's jam. Eastbound 30 east of the Merrimack, slow pockets to 270, so that's a little bit better. Westbound 64 still jammed. Kings Highway out to McCausland. Eastbound 64 Lindbergh through the Inner Belt is still slow. Next update at 8:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Celebrating 100 years of informing and entertaining. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. The voice of St. Louis.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. In her latest video, Savannah Guthrie calls it an hour of desperation in the search for her family's 84-year-old mother, Nancy. It's been well over a week since she was kidnapped from her home in Tucson. A second ransom deadline came and went yesterday. CBS's Anna Schechter.
She has tried strategically with the support of the FBI to get them to start a negotiation for the release of her mother. Now she seems to have moved on to a phase 2, just asking the public, if you've seen anything, say something.
There's pressure on a Trump administration official in the Jeffrey Epstein case. CBS's Scott McFarland from Washington.
Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has faced new calls to resign after CBS News reported Lutnick was in business with Epstein as recently as 2014 and arranged a visit to Epstein's island with his wife and children in 2012, despite saying last year he had cut off ties with Epstein in 2005. A Commerce Department spokesperson called the men's interactions limited.
A trial is underway in Los Angeles, taking social media companies to task for allegedly designing their products to get kids addicted. There's another case underway in New Mexico accusing Facebook's parent company of opening children up to sexual exploitation. Loyola law professor Lori Levinson.
The New Mexico Attorney General is arguing that, in fact, Meta knew exactly what they were doing, that they knew they were setting up a platform that would allow predators to implement schemes to take advantage of young people, and that they put together a product, namely Facebook and Instagram, that were inherently dangerous.
Air Canada is the first airline to say it's suspended service in and out of Cuba because of a U.S. blockade on oil shipments. Cuban officials say they won't have enough for planes to refuel there. It's also affecting the availability of gasoline on the island. Jesus Saname couldn't get a taxi to the airport.
I had to call like 10 people because they said, I don't have gas. I don't have a way to take you to the airport.
There's a problem with Olympic medals in Italy.
German biathlete Philipp Nallrath was jumping up and down celebrating when his bronze medal broke off its band and crashed to the floor. U.S. figure skating gold medalist Ellie Kam says the same thing happened to teammate Alyssa Liu.
It just popped off and it fell on the ground and it got a couple dents on it.
The game's chief operations officer, Andrea Francisi, heard through a translator.
Conoscenza. We are fully aware of the situation. We are looking to exactly what the problem is.
Some medals have broken in two. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Dow futures are down 22, S&P futures off 2. This is CBS News.
You still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored.
At 8:03, we have sunny skies, 48 degrees downtown at the Arch. Today is Tuesday, February 10th. I'm Megan Lynch. The ground being dug up and a few homes demolished in Florissant because they're sitting on top of radioactive waste from the Manhattan Project.
There are 6 homes set to be demolished, and that's already underway on Cades Cove. This is in the 800 block. One of the houses completely gone already, and then the other houses have marked on the garage doors demo, and they are all roped off. Now, the question has always been, is it only 6 houses? Does it stop right there at a line? In the past, we've talked with Just Moms STL co-founder Dawn Chapman, who has said that's what's a little bit scary about this, because how do you really know that it stopped in that area? There's been a lot of controversy around this, but the demolition continues. Again, it's only 6 homes, so it should be completed in a pretty short amount of time. In Florissant, Maria Kina, KMOX News.
One person wounded in an overnight shooting at a Metro East strip club. It occurred in the parking lot of Diamond Cabaret in Sauget. Our news partners at Fox 2 say the gunfire happened around 1 o'clock. It resulted from a fight inside the business. The victim's injuries are not believed to be life-threatening. The University of Missouri St. Louis will soon be looking for a new chancellor. Dr. Kristen Sobolik announced she will be stepping down July 1st and taking on an emeritus role. Sobolik became UMSL's 8th chancellor in 2020 after serving as a provost. UM System President Mun Choi says under Sobolik's leadership, UMSL strengthened its focus on student success, academic relevance, workforce development, and regional economic impact. Data centers, the hot topic in the region. The St. Louis City Planning Executive is working on limiting large-scale data centers in areas zoned for industry. Miriam Keller tells the Chris and Amy Show there are currently no regulations for data centers in the city.
We're proposing some specific building and kind of site requirements where they have to be designed kind of to the highest standard if we're even going to consider them. And we're even proposing some renewable energy requirements for the large ones.
The Planning Commission will discuss it in a public meeting Wednesday at 5:30. St. Charles officials trying to fix zoning issues that historically allowed data centers to hide under the umbrella of general warehousing. In last night's presentation to the commission, staff explained developers have been able to use outdated industrial rules to bypass more strict oversight.
You'll also notice that there is an amended definition of warehouse. You may recall previous interpretation by staff was that data center was a warehouse. As drafted, this makes it very clear that a warehouse is not a data center.
John Boyer says this specific change to the city's Chapter 400 zoning code is the first step in creating a legal firewall against future projects. The city council will have a final say on the new definitions in April. The no data center push that started in St. Charles has officially spread to Jefferson County. Neighbors in Festus demanding a freeze on all data development to ensure the city doesn't sign any binding contracts before the public can weigh in.
I'd like to propose at least a 1-year moratorium. Don't make any commitments. Don't get us legally committed to a data center. Put a stop to it.
City officials insist they're nowhere near a deal, claiming they have only annexed property and set basic zoning restrictions so far. 3 puppies from the Humane Society of Missouri were players on Team Fluff in the 22nd annual Puppy Bowl. The Humane Society's Laura Keller says Boba was named MVP, which was a first for the organization. Plus, Cheesecake's story was profiled. She was part of a hoarding rescue last year where more than 200 dogs were in a small, filthy home.
When Cheesecake's adopters came to the Humane Society, they had no idea that Cheesecake had been selected to play in the big game. So one of the things we had to talk about, they could take her home, but we were going to come get her in a few weeks and head to the big game with her. And they were thrilled.
The feature on Cheesecake also highlighted the work of the Humane Society's Animal Cruelty Task Force, which last year responded to more than 10,000 reports and traveled more than 350,000 miles. And you're going to learn more on that coming up after traffic and weather this morning here on KMOX. From the KMOX Business Desk, more and more people treating themselves to a solo meal, and the restaurant industry is taking notice. Yum Brands, the parent company of Taco Bell, KFC, and Pizza Hut, found that 47% of fast food trips are solo orders. That's up from 31% in 2021. Sammy Sparber with Axios in Texas says people want to treat themselves and are willing to pay more. Yum Brands will take the findings of their research report, and they are reconfiguring servings for solo diners. It's 8:08, traffic and weather in 2 minutes.
Hey, Cardinal Cowboy here. Who would have thought a car crash would have led to charities, TV shows, and cheering with the best fans in the world? I'm thankful for every day. And so are my friends at Renner Garage Door. They've been turning garage doors from zero to hero since 1966. With help from trusted brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster, honest family-style service you can count on. So giddy up and get your free repair or replacement quote today. Giddy up!
R-E-N-N-E-R, R-E-N-N-E-R.
Let me tell you one of the reasons I think we became the largest injury firm in the world, and it's not even close. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. My wife and I had a plan early on. In our firm, our lawyers only work on certain types of cases. Our products liability and dangerous drug lawyers only work on those cases. Same for car crashes, workers' compensation, medical malpractice, and insurance disputes. Our thinking is for these lawyers to focus on one area of the law and live it and breathe it. Power comes from knowledge. Many lawyers do everything, jack of all trades. Not us. And we don't charge an hourly rate. You only pay us if we win. If you want to hire us, it's easy. Dial Pound Law on your cell phone, pound 529, or visit forthepeople.com on your phone or computer from the comfort of your own home. Let us get to work for you. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-948-7878. That's 800-948-7878.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Total Information AM. Debbie Monterrey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman on 104.1 FM KMOX.
8:10, let's check on how things are moving on the roads for you this morning. Roger Brand has more from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, it's been a mess of a morning, Megan, but we're doing better. North 270, they cleared that crash south of Gravois. North 270 still backed up. Really, 255's jammed westbound from Lindbergh onto North 270, most of the way up to Tesson Ferry. Then it's opening up, although it's still heavy. Big Bend all the way to Ladue. The secondaries, northbound 141 still jammed north of Big Bill all the way up to Romaine Creek. Tesson Ferry's jammed Butler Hill to 270. Northbound 55, the right lanes are backed up from Butler Hill, and all lanes from 270 up to River to Pear are bumper to bumper. So the alternate routes, you may as well stick with the highway now because the alternate routes aren't great. Mueller up to Gravois, northbound Lindbergh's jammed as well. If you're on eastbound Highway 70, there's still heavy traffic from A all the way to TR Hughes. After that, there's some slow stuff through 270. Southbound 170. South of the Rock Road down to Olive, and then the Parkway to 64, a couple of slowdowns. Westbound 70 coming out of the 44 from the Arch Grounds through the city limits has a couple of slowdowns as well. Southbound 61, still delays from Highway P onto 64 to the Boulevard. Boone's Crossing to Timberlake, 270 all the way through the Interbelt. That's still slow. 44, you've got a roadwork jam east of Kings Highway through Grand, and then again, like I said, 55 up past the Poplar. Westbound 64, Greenmount to 159 is jammed, and then it's slow from 70 across the Poplar. Next update at 8:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
A nice day today with plenty of sunshine and a mild afternoon, high 62, partly cloudy tonight, but turning colder, low 29. Cooler tomorrow despite a good deal of sunshine, the high 52. Thursday mostly cloudy. There could be an afternoon shower in spots, the high 51. From the Soliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
We have sunny skies this morning, 49 degrees in Florida. Sandy, it's 46 in St. Peter's, 46 downtown at the Arch. This is Total Information AM on KMOX. Here's Debbie Monterrey.
Today is a very important day. If you, like me, are an animal lover, you probably are sad when you hear stories in the news about animals being neglected, but that's where you can help. From the Humane Society of Missouri, joining us right now is Chief Communications Officer Laura Keller. Today is your annual day of giving.
It is. Today is the Day of Giving for the Humane Society of Missouri. This is our 5th annual Day of Giving, and it is our most important fundraiser of the year.
I want to point out that oftentimes when we have stories on the air about big rescues, and there are also little rescues all the time, but the big ones make news. Law enforcement is actually contacting the Humane Society or vice versa. And you really work in partnership, but the Humane Society's Animal Cruelty Task Force is offering those services unpaid.
That's right. Unpaid in the sense that we don't receive any support from tax dollars, local, state, or federal, or any support from any other national organization. So we are solely funded by the donations that we receive from individuals here in our community.
And I mentioned sometimes these are single animal rescues, but in the case of the Christian County rescue, that made big news because it was so many animals. Can you tell us how many animals it was and what's happened to those animals since?
Sure. Yeah, that was one of our biggest rescues, maybe ever, at least in a decade. On July 30th of last year, we were contacted by the Sheriff's Department in Christian County, which is just south of Springfield, Missouri. So we went down there and there was a hoarding situation. And over the course of 2 days, we removed 224 animals from inside about 1,000 square foot house, including 217 dogs. So it was a very large rescue. It did put a big strain on our shelters and our staff. But we did it because we never, ever turn away an animal in need.
And if people have seen the pictures from that, if you can imagine that many animals in a small house, they were filthy. Some of them were sick, injured, and the Humane Society nursed them all back to health. What's the condition of, were they all adoptable?
Yes, they have all been adopted. After they arrived at the Humane Society, there were still litters being born from the dogs that we rescued. So the number actually grew from that 217 to an even larger number. But I believe the last adoption took place from Christian County in October. So it is thrilling to watch them recover, come back to health, to stop being afraid. A lot of these dogs had never had human interaction. But yeah, they're all home and living their best lives. They were all home for the holidays this year. So we're thrilled.
And one of them becoming quite famous, one of those dogs participated in the Puppy Bowl.
That's right. So one of the puppies that we rescued, and she was very young. She was only a few weeks old when we rescued her. Her name was Cheesecake. And Cheesecake went on to become one of the 3 puppies representing the Humane Society of Missouri in this year's Puppy Bowl, which was very exciting.
That is a fantastic success story. A little closer to home, I know that people, first of all, were surprised that there would be a bunch of horses in Hazelwood. You don't often think of Hazelwood and horses, and yet it was a situation where these horses were being severely neglected.
Yeah,
and,
it was.
And rescued by the Animal Cruelty Task Force.
Yeah, it was a terrible situation. We had tried to work with the owner of the property for several months, but finally we did have to get law enforcement involved, and we removed several horses from the property in Hazelwood. The barns that they were kept in were condemned by the city, and they didn't have access to water. They hadn't had veterinary care in years. They were underweight. So we got them to our Long Meadow Rescue Ranch, which is another part of the Humane Society of Missouri, and nursed them back to health over many, many months.
And what is the condition of those horses?
So some of them are available for adoption now. Some have been adopted, including there was a bonded pair named Aladdin and Abu, and they were adopted late last year, by a woman who was volunteering at Longmeadow, and she fell in love with Aladdin, but she knew that they were a bonded pair, and after everything they had been through, she knew there was no way she could adopt one without the other. So she adopted them both, and it's just a wonderful story.
We're talking with Laura Keller with the Humane Society of Missouri, and it is their day of giving. And we're talking about some of the reasons why they need to fundraise. These are not inexpensive things to have trailers and personnel and to rescue these animals, give them veterinary care and the help that they need to become adoptable pets.
That's right. It is an incredible amount of work, effort that goes into it. You're right. The equipment, the trailers that we use are all very serious pieces of equipment. Last year, the Animal Cruelty Task Force traveled over 350,000 miles and responded to over 10,000 reports, either phone calls or reports that are made on our website of suspected animal abuse or neglect.
What is your hope for today? Do you have a goal of what the Humane Society would like to raise today?
Yes, our goal for today is to raise $100,000, which is a lot of money. But we're fortunate that Purina, who's been a stalwart partner of the Humane Society of Missouri for years, is going to match any donation up to $25,000. So that kind of hopefully will give us a nice kickstart. And by the end of the day, the people in the St. Louis community have always been incredibly generous and supportive of the work we do. And we're asking them to step up again and help us today.
We're just coming off the pet parade, which everybody loves to see their favorite animals dressed up. And it is definitely something that tugs at your heartstrings when you see animals being neglected or abused.
It is. And people sometimes ask me, how can I do what I do and see some of the things that we see? And I tell them, because I know that as soon as we see them, their lives are going to change and they're going to be okay. And so knowing that outcome is as in their future is what keeps me going.
On the Humane Society's website today, if you go, there are some videos that update a lot of these stories that we're talking about that you've heard in the news over the last year or so that you know that those animals who had that rough beginning or had a new start, a new chapter.
That's right. That's right. You can go to hsmo.org/dog, Day of Giving, and to see those stories and to learn more about all of the work that we do and the ways that you can support us.
hsmo.org/dog.
Right.
So go there. You can donate. You can see videos. And you can always stop by the Humane Society, one of their two locations, Maryland Heights and Mackland Avenue.
That's right. If you need a puppy or a kitten break, come by and take a look.
Laura will get you a dog. She got me one.
I did.
Who was a rescue.
Yes.
From the Animal Cruelty Task Force.
That's right. That's right.
And she's living her best life.
Yes.
Lola the dog. All right. Day of Giving, hsmo.org/dog. Laura Keller, have a great, successful day and keep helping those animals.
Thank you.
Still ahead this hour on Total Information AM, Homeland Security funding set to expire Friday. We're going to get the latest on negotiations with CBS News Capitol Hill reporter Torian Small coming up next here on Total Information AM. First, though, let's get you updated on your ride into work with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we're still backed up, Megan. Northbound 55, the right lane's back through Butler Hill, bumper to bumper up to 270, but North 55 is a solid jam from there all the way up across the river to Bear. Westbound 255, Lindbergh, on to North 270. There's still slow pockets all the way up to Ladue. If you're on eastbound Highway 70, that's still busy east of A, all the way into 79, 270 into the Rock Road. Eastbound 364, can't tell if it's a stall or a crash, something blocking before you get to 270 there. It's jammed back near the Amiot overpass, back past Bennington. If you're on southbound 61, still slow north of Wentzville Parkway to 64 to the Boulevard, Boone's Crossing to Timberlake, Ballas all the way into Big Bend, westbound 64 Hampton to Hanley, south 170 slow at Olive, eastbound 44 east of Hampton through Grandy have a roadwork jam, westbound 64 Greenmount through 159 is bumper to bumper. Next update at 8:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
And checking that forecast for today, it looks like we're going to have plenty of sunshine, a balmy afternoon, a high 62 degrees. Right now, sunny skies, 46 in downtown St. Louis.
Sponsored by Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty 314-325-6888.
Want the most money? The name to remember is Gloria Lou. Yes, Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty at 314-325-6888 and start packing.
It's Tom Ackerman. Boy, have we had some good times at the Missouri Athletic Club recently. Just hosted the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame on Wednesday night at the MAC. Wonderful night with names like Mike Jones and Pat Maroon and our own Bob Ramsey and so many others. Devin Alexander, the boxer, on and on it went. It was a very, very special night at the MAC. And that's what they do. They do big events. They've been doing it already all year long, and big events coming this summer too. Your wedding, your business meeting, your party, you can plan that at the Missouri Athletic Club. You don't need to be a member. You just go to mac-stl.org or give them a call and get all set up. They have great catering, great hospitality, awesome facilities, both downtown and the MAC West, and pretty soon opening the MAC Clayton for their members and guests. It's going to be an incredible year for the Missouri Athletic Club, which opened in 1903. The Missouri Athletic Club, mac-stl.org.
Are you struggling with hearing loss? Do friends and family complain that your TV is too loud? Are you tired of asking people to repeat themselves? If you want to hear clearly again, but don't want a bulky hearing aid that makes you look old, you need to try Atom X by Audion Hearing. The Atom X is a life-changing breakthrough, precisely designed by top audio engineers, fits comfortably in your ear, is nearly invisible, and lets you adjust your sound so you can hear conversations clearly, at home, at dinner, or on the go. And right now, you can try the Atom X risk-free for 45 days. Call Audion Hearing now at 800-295-HEAR. That's HEAR for a 45-day risk-free home trial with free shipping and money-back guarantee. The Atom X is lightweight, rechargeable, practically invisible, and costs 90% less than prescription hearing aids. Don't miss out. Call 800-295-HEAR for complete details. That's 800-295-4327. Hearing for everyone. Audion Hearing.
Start the new year off on a healthier note by taking active liver supplements from New Nordic every day. Available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com or at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery, or Wegmans.
You're back with Total Information AM on KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. Democrats say they won't fund the Department of Homeland Security without significant reforms to immigration enforcement operations. That funding deadline is Friday. Let's go to CBS News Capitol Hill reporter Torian Small in Washington, D.C. Torian, good morning. What are Democrats demanding?
Well, they're demanding significant reforms. That includes some things that they laid out once before, including ensuring that these ICE agents do not have face coverings at all. Body cameras are mandatory. Also, a uniform code of conduct when it comes to dealing with Americans that they're approaching and execution of these ICE raids. It is kind of a laundry list that even they believe will be negotiated with amongst Republicans. But we saw, interestingly enough, today a statement from leaders Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer saying that they've seen a counterproposal or an outline of a counterproposal from Republicans, which they say is just incomplete and insufficient in terms of addressing the concerns that they laid out. Considering that timeline for when this funding is set to lapse is approaching quickly, this could spell disaster in their negotiations, and we could see potentially an extension that Leader Thune has been pushing for.
Do Democrats have the power to stand firm, though?
They do. I mean, the problem for Republicans in this case is that there are some Republican senators who agree with Democrats, at least on some of their demands. So Senator Tom Tillis has expressed his displeasure or discomfort with how Secretary Kristi Noem has handled these immigration enforcement efforts. We also saw that Senator Rand Paul was not necessarily a fan of Secretary Noem. So while there is a complete lockstep with Democrats on this, considering Republicans hold such a slim majority, any mass defection, even not mass, but small defections could be fatal in them locking in the votes necessary to go forward. And in the Senate, it has to be a 60-vote threshold to avoid a filibuster. So without that support from Democrats, anything that they propose would be dead in the water.
What happens after Friday if no deal is reached?
Well, we could see some issues in how the DHS operates, and this is across the board. It's not just ICE operations. This is also what the White House is calling a huge national security threat if DHS isn't able to be fully funded. What's interesting, though, Speaker Mike Johnson during the One Big Beautiful Bill era said that there was enough funding in that legislation to fund immigration enforcement efforts. But still, the big question mark is, what does this mean for other areas? What does this mean for border enforcement? What does this mean for Homeland Security? What does this mean for the rest of U.S. operations under this umbrella of DHS?
At CBS News Capitol Hill reporter Torian Small joining us from Washington, D.C. Thanks so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Coming up next on Total Information AM, social media platforms mount their defense in a trial underway on the West Coast. We're going to check on how a total social media ban for kids and teens is working in Australia.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. After my husband died, the last thing I wanted to think about was money. Ethos made it affordable to get life insurance. Signing up was fast and 100% online. I knew that I could pay our mortgage and have food in the fridge. I could focus on my kids. No one ever tells you how much you're going to depend on that policy. I am so grateful we had coverage.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Chuck McDowell here again. Over the years, I've seen way too many timeshare exit companies pop up, take folks' money, and disappear. I just saw an ad from an exit company started by a couple of bozos that used to work for me. My advice, don't hire bozos I'll fire. Want out of your timeshare? I'll send you our free timeshare exit info kit explaining your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free kit. 800-329-3737. That's 800-329-3737.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part, they accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right. So we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
8:30, quick check of the roads now with Roger Brandon, the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
We got a new crash blocking the left lanes, Megan, on southbound 170 just south of Brentwood, so traffic's jammed at Ladue and Slowback, pretty close to Olive. That'll probably get worse before it gets better. Still have a jam eastbound 364, a crash before 270 has a backup to Amiot back well west of Bennington. If you're on eastbound Highway 70, Bryan Road into 79, a little slow 270 into the Rock Road, westbound 270, busy coming through 170 to Ward Lindbergh. In fact, it's backing up north 170 back through Hanley. If you're on eastbound 64 coming off 61, it's Wentworth Parkway down to Lake St. Louis Boulevard. A couple of pockets from Manny Guns through Clarkson, Spady all the way into Big Bend. Westbound 64, Hampton to Hanley, slow north 270 from 55 all the way up to Ladue's bogged down. Northbound 141, north of Big Bill all the way up to 21 is still backed up. 55 south of Butler Hill all the way up across River to Pears heavy. 44 a short jam up Hampton Kings Highway. 44 then after that, park out on the 70 slow. Westbound 64 Greenmount through 159's jammed and is slow from the 70 split to the Poplar. Next update at 8:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, sunny day today, a balmy afternoon. Expect a high near 62. Right now we have sunny skies, 46 degrees downtown at the Arch. Opening statements began yesterday in Los Angeles in a case where Meta and Google's YouTube face claims their platforms deliberately addict and harm children. Australia took another approach last year. I checked in with Webster University media instructor and author Julie Smith about that country's total social media ban for kids and teens.
Well, it started on December 11th, and the law says that kids under 16 cannot be on any social media platforms. And it's really interesting because, we think, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, but it's also YouTube, which in many cases can be really educational. You can learn how to change a tire on YouTube. I mean, there's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Reddit, Snapchat, X, and Threads are all of the platforms that the kids aren't allowed on. But what's interesting is that other apps have filled in the gap. So the kids now have moved to an app called Yope, Lemonade, and of course Discord. So I understand what Australia was trying to do, but it's kind of like herding cats or playing whack-a-mole, right? Like here they've banned these particular apps, but other apps obviously are going to go in its place. The kids are also using VPNs, so it doesn't look like they're actually in Australia, and they're also using their parents' accounts. So like we've said before, great idea, impossible to enforce.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the things that people had warned about. Kids are intelligent and they will find ways around this. I just did an interview, for example, with Roblox. They've started that new facial age verification system, and I asked them, are you concerned about kids getting around it? And she said, well, yes, kids are crafty.
Yes, they're resourceful.
They may figure out ways. Is this to say, though, that this is a failure? I mean, in some ways, do we have to applaud Australia for at least treading into these waters?
Right. I think it's a tool in the toolbox of a way to help kids process this, digital world that they're living in. Reddit is actually suing the government of Australia, saying that the law is ineffective, which they're not wrong. But they also say that it keeps kids out of political discussions, which I think is kind of a stretch. Like I'm not sure how many kids are actually using these apps for deep political discussions. But Meta has deleted 330,000 Instagram accounts, 175,000 Facebook accounts, and 40,000 Thread accounts of kids who are under 16. So little by little, maybe it's helping, but me, I mean, my idea is, look, this stuff isn't going anywhere. How about we teach kids about it rather than ban it? I mean, teenagers and forbidden fruit, right? It's just so appealing.
Adults and forbidden fruit.
Adults and forbidden fruit, right. I just feel like education, teaching kids about the economics, how the algorithms work, what the effects are, both mentally and physically and emotionally. I think that is a much better approach than trying to ban something that really is very difficult to ban.
I'm curious, though, when we look at education efforts with other things in the media, how effective have they been, and what kind of backlash has there been about who is doing that educating?
Right. Well, and the term media literacy, right, which is my favorite thing in the world, has been politicized so that some people would think that a media literacy instructor just walks around and says Fox News is bad. And that's not it exactly. We encourage people to ask questions about every single media message that they consume. But another thing that kind of, I don't know, that kind of worries me, Megan, is that I'm not sure a lot of people want to be media literate. I think that we're very comfortable in our bubbles, consuming information that already affirms what we think. And I think that makes selling media literacy, or the concept of being a critical media consumer, pretty difficult.
That's Webster University's Julie Smith. Your Money Report next.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call me, Lance Drury, today, and let me get between you and the IRS. I'll protect your rights. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, our practice is focused 100% on fighting the IRS. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Call 314-260-6120. Visit Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Attention all dog owners. If you have ever listened to the radio or TV for any length of time, you've probably heard of America's #1 dog supplement, Rough Greens. Greetings, naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, Amazon best-selling author and founder of Rough Greens here. And if your dog suffers from bad breath, itchy skin, licking paws, joint pain, or low energy, the truth is their food is probably to blame. You see, all commercial dog food is dead food. That's why I created Rough Greens. One daily scoop gives your pup the live vitamins, omega oils, probiotics, and enzymes that will bring their food back to life. Don't believe me? Let your dog try it before you buy it. I'll send you a free Jumpstart trial bag, risk-free. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com. That's RUFFgreens.com. Use discount code NEWS. Don't wait. Give your dog the gift of vibrant health. Order now. It'll be at your house in a few days. Go to roughgreens.com. That's RUFFgreens.com. Discount code NEWS for your free Jumpstart trial bag today. Rough Green. We make any dog food better.
Your Money Report now, sponsored by Eamon Gantner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys. Here's Bloomberg's Courtney Donahoe.
Honda's adding to the growing number of automakers warning of the fallout from slowing sales of electric vehicles. The car maker is taking a $1.7 billion hit from its EV business. General Motors, Jeep maker Stellantis, and Ford all recently announced billions of dollars in charges from their EV strategies. Trading starts today with the Dow Jones Industrial Average at a record high. Yesterday, chip companies did the heavy lifting, sending the S&P 500 up 0.5%. This morning, stocks are starting to lose steam. Futures have shifted from gains to losses. And all the delays at the airport during last year's government shutdown put a bit of a damper on business travel. As a result, Marriott reported quarterly earnings that missed Wall Street expectations. However, the hotel giant notes that the company's luxury properties have been outperforming, reflecting an ongoing divergence in travel spending between wealthier consumers and just about everyone else. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
If you're dreaming about a getaway that feels truly refreshing this September, it's time to discover Arizona. We have a 5-day trip planned, and it's based in beautiful, scenic Flagstaff. From there, we'll take in the stunning red rocks of Sedona. We'll stand in awe at the Grand Canyon and relax along the clear blue waters of Lake Powell. It's going to be a perfect mix of natural beauty, easy adventure, and unforgettable scenery. And I'm told it's the best time of year with fewer crowds and comfortable Arizona temperatures. So get in on this incredible 5-day Arizona trip with me and KMOX listeners and make memories you'll talk about long after you return home. Again, this is coming up in September and the spots will fill quickly, so don't wait. Visit travelwithdebbie.net or you can call to reserve your spot on this unforgettable Arizona escape. 800-383-3131. That's 800-383-3131. Let's travel to Arizona in September. Travelwithdebbie.net.
Are you turning 65 or new to Medicare? Humana knows not everyone has the same needs when picking a Medicare Advantage plan.
Now that I'm retired, I want to enjoy the life I've worked hard to build. So I want a plan that covers me when I'm traveling the country.
Humana has a plan for that.
As a veteran, I want a plan that fills in the gaps my VA coverage doesn't provide, like dental care.
Humana has a plan for that.
I feel good about my health. I just want care and coverage with predictable costs. No surprises.
Humana has a plan for that. With a Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you get coverage and benefits that focus on what matters most to you. Learn more at gethumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a Medicare Advantage HMO and PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
Coming up on Total Information AM, thousands of defunct oil wells in Illinois could create a headache for taxpayers. We'll tell you more. First, though, let's tell you more about the headaches on the roads. There have been a lot. Roger Brand is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Yeah, in fact, one of our KMOX commuters, Megan, called in about a crash on the King Bridge. It looks like they've cleared it. Mid-span traffic's opening up. It's still backed up westbound back to the interstate, but it ought to thin out pretty quickly. Eastbound's already back to normal there. So we'll just stick with the Illinois side. Westbound 6450 to 159 is on the brakes. It's slow from the 70 splits of the Poplar after that. Westbound 270, we have an incident west of Lindbergh, block in the right lane, so traffic's jammed back to New Florissant. And we have a crash in the left lanes, southbound 170 south of Brentwood. That's a solid jam back at Olive. If you're on northbound 270, still bogged down from 55 all the way up to 64. Northbound 141 is still jammed north of Big Bill all the way up to 21. Northbound 55, the right lane's Butler Hill to 270. And there's still heavy traffic north of 270 in pockets all the way up through Virginia. Eastbound 64, still bogged down from Lindbergh through the inner belt. Westbound 64 west of the Science Center to Hanley is heavy. And westbound 70 at the city limits out through Jennings Station is also slow. I'm Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Want a new home in Cottleville? Check out Cottleville Trails by McKelvey Homes. Take a golf cart or walk to downtown Cottleville. Visit McKelveyHomes.com today to learn more about the incredible homes in Cottleville Trails and move up to McKelvey.
A sunny day today, balmy this afternoon, a high of 62, partly cloudy, colder tonight, a low of 29. Right now, sunny skies, 46 downtown at the Arch. I'm Megan Lynch. Thanks for listening to Total Information AM on this Tuesday morning. Thousands of oil and gas wells are scattered across fields in rural Illinois. Few are still in operation, though, and researchers are warning these abandoned wells are an environmental threat. So who's in charge? Peter Hancock is State House reporter at Capital News, Illinois, and has been covering the story. Peter, good morning.
Good morning, Megan.
How many wells are we talking about across the state?
Well, that's one of the big questions. Right now, the Illinois Department of Natural Resources keeps tabs on about 30,000 wells that are either active or have been, they're known to have been capped and plugged. But, oil exploration in Illinois goes back to the 1850s. And since then, they estimate there have been upwards of 155,000 wells have been drilled in Illinois. We may not know where all of them are. Some they may be plugged, they may not be plugged. So that's one of the findings of this report, was that the state really doesn't do a very effective job of collecting data on the wells and how much they're producing or whether or not they're producing. So that's one of the big gaps that we're seeing.
What did researchers highlight could be potential problems down the road because of that lack of regulation?
Well, these wells pose environmental hazards. For one thing, toxic chemicals, things underground can leach into public water supplies. They can emit climate changing gases. There are, all kinds of hazards from having, these big holes in the ground that go, hundreds, sometimes maybe even thousands of feet below the surface, down into these oil deposits. So, they pose a significant hazard, and they do need to be plugged and capped so that, there's no cross-contamination between water supplies and air supplies and the underground resources. So, that's the big thing that we're looking at. And plugging and capping a well is expensive. It can be upwards of, $30,000, $40,000 just to plug it, and then to clean up the site around it where, a pump or well used to exist, that can cost, tens of thousands of additional dollars.
Peter, I have to wonder, for some of the companies that maybe used to operate some of these wells, are there even still in existence where Illinois could try to get that money, that cleanup money out of them?
Well, and that's one of the challenges also, is that there's not a lot of control. A well company, a drilling company, can get a permit, and you get a lease from the landowner to drill, and you get a permit to operate the well, and then you can transfer that permit to another company and then another company, on and on down the line. It is not unheard of for them to transfer these things to shell corporations, which then end up going bankrupt to avoid any future liability. So the authors of the report actually are recommending some changes in statutory law so that you can go back in the chain of title to hold prior owners and permittees responsible.
Peter, could it ultimately fall to taxpayers for the bulk of this potential cleanup?
Well, yeah, and that's the ultimate warning of this report. The state does have some funds. They're currently receiving a lot of federal grants because this is a national problem. But IDNR does have within it a fund that is used to plug and cap wells. There are also some voluntary programs out there within the industry. But ultimately, if you want to protect public water supplies and public air supplies, the danger is this becomes a public liability and we all end up having to pay for it.
What kind of response have you gotten from state officials to questions about this report?
We got a very general response. They acknowledged that this is a problem. They acknowledged that it's going to cost some money. They are trying to make the best use that they can out of federal grants that came down during the Biden administration. And they acknowledge it. They say it's a complex problem that's going to take a lot of work. They do argue that the rate at which old wells are being plugged and capped has increased in recent years, that the current administration is putting out more of an effort. But they aren't hiding from it. They acknowledge this is a problem and we're all going to have to deal with it.
Peter, thanks so much. Appreciate your time this morning.
Well, thank you.
That is Peter Hancock, State House reporter at Capital News, Illinois, joining us this morning here on KMOX.
Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
If you're thinking about selling your St. Louis area home this year, you'll probably get plenty of advice from people when you tell them. But here's my number one recommendation. Get the right agent. And that is Gloria Liu of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. If you want the most money and the least stress when selling your home, call Gloria Liu, because in today's real estate market, the agent you choose matters more than ever. And the clear choice is Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Why? Well, Gloria sells homes faster and for more money than the average agent. She has a database of thousands of buyers in waiting, some looking for a home just like yours. So your home may be sold like that, trying to snap on a Tuesday morning. The average agent may sell 4 to 5 homes a year, but Gloria Liu sells a home just about every other day. And she has an upfront written guarantee. She will sell your home at a price and time frame acceptable to you, or she'll buy it herself. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date. Call her today at 314-325-6888 or online at gloriahasthebuyers.com.
Being first in line can be very important to homeowners. First in line for the plumber, first in line for the HVAC guy, first at Banner Construction. It's Banner Construction's winter home event, and you can be the first in line this spring and save before the annual price increases. Banner Construction is a James Hardy and Pella replacement windows specialist, and now is the best time to schedule a free in-home consultation with no obligation. Call 314-569-1050. or check them out on the web at bannerconstruction.com and have a banner day.
Every spring brings promises, and every spring delivers surprises. This year, the Cardinals are writing a new story, and there'll be plenty of surprises. Matt Pauley is in Jupiter with inside access to Camp Cardinals.
Presented by St. Louis Composting. Composting, growing gardens and making memories. And Happy Roof. We always create happy endings.
From breakout performances to roster revelations, get reports throughout the day on the voice of the Cardinals. KMOX.
Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. Cantor is local, and we're here doing the work every day. We're right here in St. Louis, and we're ready to fight for you. CantorInjuryLaw.com or call 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
If you've ever thought about donating to the Humane Society of Missouri in the past, watch these true rescue stories. They will inspire you to take action today during their 5th annual Day of Giving. Watch and donate at hsmo.org/dog.
This is Total Information AM on KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. A new report reveals anti-Semitism is having a significant impact on how American Jews go about their daily lives. American Jewish Committee released a new State of Anti-Semitism in America report just this morning. And joining me now, AJC St. Louis Director Nancy Lisker. Nancy, thanks for your time this morning.
Thanks to you, Megan.
How many people in this survey say they actually have been personally targeted with anti-Semitic incidents?
Well, let's start. Thank you, Megan. That 9 in 10 American Jews feel less safe. And also they are saying that they feel unsafe in group settings. So this is very concerning. More than half of Jews in America changed their behavior out of fear of being the target of anti-Semitism. So that says it all about what the feeling of Jews, especially 2 years after the attacks of Hamas in Israel, has meant for them in their daily lives.
You know, let's talk about events in the U.S. and how they have impacted Jewish people. You know, what are some of the main events that people noted have impacted how they feel about their safety?
You know, most people have moved on from very, very terrible attacks against Jews, but Jews have not. Those incidents include the burning of Pennsylvania's Governor Josh Shapiro's home. His home was very, very damaged. The firebombing of Jews in Boulder, Colorado, and the murders of Sarah Milgram and Yaron Lishinsky, those 2 young souls in front of the Capitol Jewish Museum. And very, very recently, one historic synagogue in the South, in Jackson, Mississippi, was left completely damaged. The person that did the attack said he had done it because the building was associated with Jews and he hated Jews. Luckily, he's being held and tried by authorities, but the damage has been done. This was a synagogue that served 12 surrounding states and was part of the centuries-old history of American Jews in this country.
You mentioned at the start about more than half of American Jews say they've changed their behavior in the past year because of their fear of being targeted. Can you go into detail about what some of those changes are?
Absolutely. Jews generally tell you that, you know, something that never happened before. They are going into places, looking immediately for the exit. They are, for college-age students, they are finding out that they are suddenly being left out of groups. This is not the way any American, let alone any minority, should be living their daily lives in the United States. So they need to be aware all the time. That means they need to be nervous all the time about going about their daily lives. So this is, again, not what one would expect in a country where any American is afforded their rights, just like Title VI in the Civil Rights Act affords, without any difference in race, color, sexual orientation, or national origin. Jews are just the same as any other group in America.
What about their digital lives? You know, what maybe Jewish Americans say they're exposed to online or what they are willing to share on social media?
Well, that's another space where Jews have been, targeted and also feel that they can no longer express their ideas freely. More than half, most Americans have seen on Facebook, on platforms that like TikTok and YouTube, either have been the recipients of anti-Semitism or have seen anti-Semitism. So they are holding themselves in expressing their views, or frankly feel, again, unsafe. Sometimes they discover that people that they know are expressing their anti-Semitism there, and that makes them feel unsafe. And then they now have expressed a new fear that generative AI will not only spread the lies, conspiracy theories. At its core, anti-Semitism is a conspiracy based on myths. But now the fear is that those conspiracies and those lies will lead to real-time anti-Semitic incidents.
Nancy, thanks so much for coming on this morning and sharing the results of the survey.
Thank you. Thanks to you.
That is American Jewish Committee St. Louis Director Nancy Lisker joining us this morning here on KMOX.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Health Trends, sponsored by Ethos.
Yoga reduces incontinence in women. Research from Stanford University and UCSF finds women over 45 who attended 2 90-minute yoga classes per week that included poses for pelvic floor strengthening had a 65% reduction in urinary incontinence after 3 months.